to a very coordinated, very on top of it episode of the Tabletop Tavern. I hope everyone is doing well. Thank you so much for coming to hang out with us. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Jenny. I will be your dungeon master for this entire adventure. I will allow my players to introduce themselves, starting with the luxurious, beautiful, talented Victoria Shaz.
Hello, everyone. My name is Victoria. I play Leon LaBelle.
My name is Ryan, and I play Galen Wayfair.
Hi, I'm Doe or Doe Deer, and I play Gris Littlefoot, and I like Jenny's sweater.
And I'm Pippin, and I play Ariadne and Kylta, and I love Jenny's face.
True.
And I'm Stacy, and I'm going to be playing Bee Bofkin as the little guest today.
All right, so for those of you who weren't around last episode, maybe you've forgotten, a lot did happen, so I'm going to go over that real fast, a little catch-up session here. Last episode, episode 9 of the Tabletop Tavern, the party found themselves in Aquera, where Galen encountered a figure from his past, the beautiful tiefling Bee Bofkin. Any hopes for a romantic reunion with this mysterious woman were dashed when she revealed to him the devastating news that his father was dead and his mother was bedbound, reliant on Bee's care. Galen revealed this information to Gris Littlefoot in hopes that she could provide some cure for his mother's condition, but she assured him that Cassandra simply needed time. And she and Bee spent the evening with the other party members, the fabulous and often sassy Ariadne, and an increasingly irate Leon LaBelle, while Galen passed the evening at his mother's bedside. The next morning, Leon LaBelle took a luxurious bath, hopefully improving her mood, and the party sat down for breakfast. That is where we find them now, seated at a table sort of on the far end of the tavern, facing again towards the door. You all sort of sit down and begin to dig into these pastries that Gris and Ari have brought. And as you're sitting there, you sort of notice that Bee looks a little nervous. She keeps casting glances at the door. Ari, however, not one to be discouraged from eating food that presumably Gris had to pay for. You tear into a pastry the shape of a conch shell. Galen seems a little less interested in eating. He stabs an apple with his dagger and sort of examines it, but doesn't take a bite. Gris watches him with worried, almost motherly eyes. And B, you give his hand a gentle squeeze under the table before taking a bite of one of the pastries your friends bought.
So, Leona's kind of sitting at the table. Are there any, sweet pastries?
Yeah, so...
can you tell?
Do you want to hear about the pastries? Would you like a description of these?
Yeah, yes. Leon needs to make a decision here.
Okay, so there's actually
and it's a breakfast decision.
The assortment. A couple of them look very odd. You've definitely never seen them before. Or really any of these. The conch shell-shaped pastries that Ariadne has sort of bit into seem to be made out of some kind of shortbread. They actually look quite good. A little crumbly, maybe a little dry. Then you have some in the shape of seashells that seem to be sort of green. Maybe they're made with some sort of seaweed. They're a little odd. And the last are fairly plain. They're sort of square-shaped, and they have what appear to be berries in them.
Leon's gonna grab one of those.
All right.
So Leon kind of grabs one of those, and I presume there's a plate in front of everyone, or no? This could be a noblewoman making assumptions.
Just sort of they've managed to find pastries somewhere and sort of piled them haphazardly in the middle of the table.
Okay. So Leon gingerly takes one of them, takes a tiny piece off of the edge, takes a bite, and then looks to the team and is kind of like, okay, so what's going on? And she looks at Bee. She goes, why do you keep looking at the door like something's either about to come in or you're about to run out?
B kind of like sits back and kind of goes, she's in the middle of writing and just like sticks up her hand and just kind of like a single finger as she's continuously writing.
Okay. Leon kind of looks at Gris and is like, is this for the blog?
Gris just kind of shrugs it and crumbles off a piece of her pastry and says, I thought you usually were the one with the plan, Leon. What are we doing today?
That's a good question. We should. They know where the boat is.
Oh,
I'm sorry, could you say that one again?
I said they know where the boat is. I think there was a boat cryptically mentioned last night, we'll say.
B kind of goes,
It wasn't cryptic, it was theoretical, and I still don't know how to float.
I know it's been a long time since you had a bath, Leon, but I don't think the water was that deep in there. I wouldn't call it a boat.
B, please. She says, why do you keep looking at the door? And we all know that boat you were talking about last night is real. What's going on? And more importantly, what can we do to help make this all easier? The whole of us. All of us.
Make boats easier?
I know how to
Yes.
steer them now. Galen showed me. And I
You
look
do.
at B.
B kind of pauses and goes, make what easier? As she makes eye contact with Galen as she says this.
Do you know what they're talking about?
They're your friends.
Gris kind
Galen
of
sort of just like turns to everyone else and is just like,
Gris sits back and a little bit on her seat, like, okay, now I'm lost. There is a boat.
Yeah, there is. And
Or
Leon
is
looks to
there?
Gris and is like, and these two are being deliberately cryptic for some reason. So I'm just trying to figure out why. I don't know. Listen,
Galen.
like, y'all don't have to tell us why you're being cryptic. We have things as a group that we need to do.
I interrupt and I look at Galen and I just say, considering how much you didn't want to be here, I would have figured you'd like to leave as soon as possible.
Ari's got a fair point.
Gris kind of casts like a side look to Galen, like, do you want to leave?
Galen kind of like casts a look at Gris that kind of reads like, not particularly.
Gris kind of like rips her pastry in half and kind of readjusts herself and like maybe we could enjoy the scenery. I've never been to a Quora or a port city. Maybe we could take a look around. It seems very interesting. I think there's a lot I could learn here. It's not like Dreamers Grove at all. It's quite mysterious.
Right. And how are we gonna figure out what's going on with your husband here? Just out of curiosity, you know.
Well,
we are here
we
for a reason.
Everything has to do with my husband, Leon.
We do have a lot.
I know,
of
but we
stop
are
and I look-
heading towards a
Look at Gris,
destination.
absolutely shocked and concerned like an alien at this point. I was like,
Yeah. Leon makes eye contact with Ari
sleep all right?
and then sends message.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Ari hears a voice in their head,
Shit.
like, and Leon just says, "This is weird, right?"
Yeah.
So Leon's kind of like, listen, what is going on?
You're saying this out loud, not in
Yeah.
a message. Okay.
Yes.
Gris kind of looks down, looks at Galen, looks at me, looks back down.
Leon is looking at B like, you still haven't answered me why you keep looking at that door like something is about to barrel in there. Or you're about to barrel out.
B takes like a big sigh, and as she sighs, like a lot of like pressure comes off of her shoulders, and she kind of goes, So the boat.
Okay. The boat.
Listen,
I don't think the boat will fit through that door frame.
there's many boats in Aquara, Leon. But
Yeah.
if there's particular boats you would like to know of, there's always a little bit. I can always get you some information with a price.
So there is a specific boat that you and Galen were both discussing last night. It was made of like
That
a beautiful
may or
cherry
may not
wood and had
be
some
legally
glass.
acquired.
Right. And before we got here, Galen mentioned a boat. Leon looks at Galen. That did happen. You did. You said there was a boat. And then Leon looks back at B and is like, "We know it's a real boat. What is the situation? Do you not have the boat? Galen thought you had the boat. If you don't have the boat, what's going on?"
Did somebody steal the
boat-
boat?
The boat was never mine. Galen never gave me the boat. This
Well,
theoretical boat.
Uh-huh.
Wink, wink.
yes. Leon winks back like, right.
Galen like
However,
Fake boat.
covers his eyes. God, it's too
However-
early.
Galen does have some other friends that aren't just me here.
Okay.
Galen has more friends.
Do they have the boat?
Shockingly, Ari, yes, I do. Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? And Galen sort of like jabs the dagger into the apple even harder.
Leon looks at him and is like,
He
"Are you
kind of
gonna
looks
eat it,
at
or are
Galen
you
and
just
goes,
going
"Yes."
to name it?"
And I just
Shockingly.
thought, well, you can't blame me.
Yeah.
It's not like you were approachable when we met.
Galen brings up
Ari's
the
got a
apple
point.
and takes a bite out of it, leaving like half the apple,
Mhm.
and is like, "Listen,
Okay. But
That's what happened.
I do
there
have
is a boat.
yes,
There is
It's-
a boat.
Uh-huh.
That boat used to be Galen's, a very pretty boat for a
Mhm.
very pretty evening.
Right.
However, it was only one that I used to borrow.
Right.
And borrow for technically anything Galen would happen to desire, and I would be there.
Mhm.
You know, he
Mhm.
loved to spoil me.
Galen like rubs
Mhm.
like the back of his neck. Is like, okay, and
I always preferred the jobs we did together, though, Galen. And like she like kind of like looks up to Galen and just like winks again. However, would Galen like to tell your new friends about your old friends?
Yes. Someone should.
So-
Looking between them like anyone.
Galen like drops his hand from his neck and kind of just like looks around at the table and is like, "There's another person involved.
Okay.
Not really the brightest or best person, but it sounds like they have my boat. So we're gonna
Mhm.
have to get it through any means necessary, which might involve killing him."
Oh, I thought
Okay,
you said he
hold
was
up.
your friend.
Please pause. Hold up, please pause. Good question, Ari. Not the brightest nor the best. What?
No,
He's-
but why are you? No! Kill him!
Let me finish. And Galen kind of like puts his hands on the table. Is like, he's very traditional, we'll say. He's literally a stone pillar of a man. His name is
Leon's
Caleb.
like, oh.
Lovely,
And-
Oh,
Caleb.
sounds nice.
Sort of
Leon looks at B and is like, just kind of watching her.
B has this completely done face as any mention of Caleb, as Galen is continuing to talk.
he's a very like, what's mine is mine and I will take it person. And that comes with possessions, gold, and people.
Ew. What?
Meaning getting this boat you're so desiring is going to be a lot of work, Leon.
Okay.
But you're describing a man who upholds ideals of personal property by stealing other people's personal property?
Look,
You're doing it, Ari. You're putting it together.
I didn't say that he was a great person. At some point, he was like my right hand, if you could call it that. But I never really liked him. You know, I had favorites, and Galen like reaches under the table and runs his thumb over B's hand. And
Beast it kind of sits up a little straighter.
and but he doesn't like it when you try to take his toys.
So
Well, didn't they
how
teach
did-
him to
Okay.
share?
No,
Yeah, that's my question. How did he get the boat?
The boat. So
Like, was it left in your possession when Galen left, B?
Caleb, or he likes to be called this. He likes to be called Strike now.
I hate that.
Thank you.
Ew.
Galen
anyways.
aggressively rolls
Is
his
he in
eyes.
a union?
Anyways, I never had the boat.
Send me. I'm so sorry. That broke me. Sorry.
Yes, I've never had the boat. Funny
Okay.
enough, when Galen left, he never left a little bit of a note on what objects go to who.
Oh, good.
Right. So there's a lot of
Yeah.
possessions I have that he has now, including, that boat would be
Oh.
nice. But if you guys want it, I would be just so generous to give
I'll
it to
get
you
it back
guys.
for you.
Leon's kind of picking up on what B is saying and looks at B and is like, did he take something else of yours?
B sighs deeply and kind of goes, I used to come to Aquara a lot to spend a lot of time with close friends, as she does not make contact with Galen.
Yeah.
And so I happen to have a desk I enjoy who was given to me by a friend, and a mirror that I would also enjoy. It was quite intricate, as well as the last thing I would really want is this really cute of lingerie I left into that I never got to wear.
Oh,
Leon's like nodding, like, I get it.
I just
Like, I
looks
can
down,
appreciate that,
trying
actually.
to find something else to look at, and finds a pastry and shoves it in her mouth.
Gris kind of smiles at this mention of like lingerie, like, and then
Oh my god.
turns to Galen and is like, "But how did you stop becoming friends? What happened? Why is he so hell bent?"
Good question, Gris.
I was never friends with his friends for particular reasons.
calling
Being.
Caleb a friend is a very far stretch.
I mean, you called him that.
That's true.
He could be here. I don't know where he is.
Oh, okay. Is he?
I-
Leon like
Yeah, like,
glances
looks
around
around.
like I don't know what the man looks like, so like you're gonna have to let me know.
You'll
He rolls
However,
up.
Is he
you'll
pink
know him
too?
when you see him. We'll say that much.
However,
Oh.
when Strike left, not Strike, when Torrent left, Strike, and she like sighs as she has to say Strike, kind of turned into had possession over the gang.
Oh.
Strike now
Oh,
has.
So you're telling me that this really bad guy that Galen doesn't like, that you don't like, is running a gang?
Oh, not just any gang.
Wait,
Galen's gang.
Oh, What a great turn of events. Awesome.
Galen sort of
That's
squeezes
just
Bee's hand
great.
and is like, hold on. Wait a minute. Okay.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
you told
And,
us they ran the city. I don't know what I expected.
Bee kind of leans back a little bit, crosses her arms, and goes, "Yeah, I will wait a minute, Galen. You tell us what you would like to tell us."
Please. Please, Galen.
y'all are gonna stay here, and I'm gonna go find
That's a
Strike.
really
And
bad idea,
No,
Galen.
no,
Slit his
no,
throat.
nope.
We are
absolutely
not
No.
separating the group. That's not happening.
But
Yeah,
also,
that doesn't
I know
often work
quite
out
a
well.
bit about gangs. Back in Dreamer's Grove, the
Leon's
owls,
looking at Gris like, what?
and Gris just kind of waves her off. The owls and the squirrels were rival.
Oh my
gangs.
god. Gris has
So-
got a point. If this is anything like that, you're gonna need all the help you can get.
I just don't want you to become a squirrel in a sea
A
of.
squ-
Leon looks
An
at Bee
owl?
and Galen like,
Excuse you, we all know who the aggressors were here.
The owls!
The squirrels!
The squirrels, they're smaller than the owls, Ariadne. How on earth?
The owls
Leon's like,
live in the tree. The
enough,
squirrels have
enough,
the rest
enough.
of the forest.
No.
All I'm saying is
Stop.
Caleb is an owl. Clearly.
I really didn't think Animalian
not-
politics was on the table this morning, but okay. Anyway,
Me neither, Galen, honestly. Wow. Okay.
And Bee kind of gets a little serious, which is a little unusual, especially around just to everyone in particular, I think, here, except for Galen and I think now Gris. And she kind of gets a little serious and she kind of looks to Galen and says, "You're not going to strike alone, though, right?"
Right.
Bee's
He doesn't
right.
even need to answer that.
It's so
It's
right.
not happening, Bee. Don't worry.
Bee kind of looks to
No.
Galen and goes, "I kind of like her."
Thank you.
that's sort of just like
I'm sure that's just what Galen wants, Bee.
Galen just like shakes his head, and he's like, "I'll figure it out."
Uh-huh.
Yeah, with us.
We
will.
Leon's like actually making a hand motion. Like, we will figure it out, Galen. She's got like half a pastry in one hand that she's been picking at. And she's like, we collectively, okay?
I mean, last time you tried to take something, your head almost got crushed. So if this is anything like that, we should help you take the thing.
Correct.
Ari has a point.
Remember when the Stone King rose, you like took the crown and you was like, whoosh, and then you like flew across the room,
And
hit
then
against
I
the wall,
ran over
literally
and-
nearly died. Ari had to carry you.
Plus,
And I looked at you and you were not okay and I couldn't do
You-
anything.
Yeah.
And if I
You
can't do
three-
anything, I'm
How
upset.
about we don't do things alone?
You three seem to forget that I'm from here. That
But
whole
you seem to
Okay.
forget that we're
King.
nosy and it doesn't mean shit.
Listen, let me finish. This whole thing here, this whole city, this whole lower deck
Mhm.
used to be
Mhm.
mine, okay?
Used to.
The
I know.
operative is the past tense there, Galen.
Galen, you seem to be forgetting that not only is Strike stupid, but he's big and strong.
How big?
Exactly. He's stupid.
Okay.
It's not going to be that hard.
Leon looks at Bee and is like, so did he just ignore the other half of what you said?
Thank you, Leon. As like she's like puts more kind of actually takes the hand away that was holding Galen's hand and puts it on her face a little bit.
There were 3 other adjectives in that sentence.
Exactly, Ari.
Gris kind of leans over to Leon and like kind of whispers, "Did he say that somebody was stupid? And do we think Galen's smart?"
Can Galen clock
Leon?
that?
Shit, roll a perception check.
Okay.
I know.
14.
No.
God damn it.
I'm sorry. You are actually, let me give you an explanation. You are now distracted by the fact that you appear to have really upset Bee.
Oh, shit.
she's let go of your hand. She appears to be bonding with Leon. You think that maybe you might have pressed some wrong buttons here.
Okay.
So Leon is like, okay, so we, collective as a group, she looks at Galen, a group, are going to go and figure out what's going on with Strike.
So
Leon looks at everyone else. Yes? All for this. Are we all for this?
and B kind of looks for
finish
everyone.
breakfast first.
Yes.
I'm only for this.
Also,
if
you
we-
all need to take a bath. No, actually, before we leave, you all need to take a bath. This can wait until we're done eating.
Hang on. I do believe that B was about to say something.
Yes.
B kind of goes, I will help you.
Yes.
However, I do have my conditions for it.
Okay.
I would like that lingerie and that desk and that mirror back.
Okay. We'll do our best.
Okay. Then if you can do that for me, I can help you get the boat. And Galen, I can help you tie these loose ends here just until you come back. If you're coming back, right? Because I'll miss you, darling.
Galen sort of just like looks in B's eyes and says, I'm not going to go anywhere.
I was not expecting that. I say that in character as B and goes, well, then we better start planning.
Listen, I will only take part in this if Leon shuts up and lets B lay out
Pardon?
the plan and all the work. You're not from here.
Leon kind of puts her hand up to Galen and is like, thus far, I have respected everyone else's guidance around this city. Under no circumstances would I attempt to lead you all through streets I don't know.
You're the reason why we're here in
also,
the first place.
Please don't tell me to shut up. It's rude, Galen.
She has a point. It is a little rude, Galen. And Grish just kind of mutters it in a motherly way, and then just kind of looks back down at her plate like. Ugh.
As the party reaches this sort of like awkward, quiet moment immediately following that verbal altercation, the door swings open. Can I get a perception check?
Oh Lord.
Oh God.
B, you don't need a perception check.
Oh.
Everyone else needs a perception check.
Where the hell is it? There it is.
16 plus 4, 20.
12 plus 1, 13.
8.
9.
All right. Let's start with Gris. You take another bite of your pastry. You don't even notice that the door has opened. Galen, you are facing away from the door, and really, you're just kind of trying to deal with the amount of just strong energy coming at you from all directions right now. Leon, the door swings open.
Yes.
You look up and you see someone enter. It appears to be a woman. She looks to be dressed in white. You're not really sure who she is, but she reminds you a little bit of the life clerics you would see around the city you grew up in. Ari, the door opens and you whip around. You've noticed that B's a little bit jumpy, so you're prepared to battle anyone for this girl you just met. And you see another cute girl. Everything is coming up Ariadne recently.
Ooh.
This is very clearly a life cleric. You are very well versed in sort of the religious aspects of this world. And she seems to be searching for someone in the crowd. She looks to be young, but it's very hard to tell, particularly with this particular type of healer. But she seems to spot someone she recognizes at your table and moves towards you.
I stand up.
Leon is just watching.
B also kind of actually stands up, but hoping that it kind of seems a little bit more nonchalant. And she kind of goes, "Oh, Galen."
You know this person?
Yeah.
No. That's not where I was going. I was just gonna say that I think me and Galen should spend a little bit more time. I do miss catching up with you in the bedroom.
Galen, a little flustered, is like, "You okay?"
But it's not bedtime.
Then he goes, "You have a fair point."
Gris is like at first a little shocked, like, "Oh, that's very apparent," and then kind of remembers the situation and is like, "Oh, that's a great idea. I think you should catch up in the bedroom."
Leon is looking between the life cleric and B, like,
Galen.
no, that's too much of a coincidence.
Galen looks at Leon and then looks at B and says, "B and I are gonna go take a bath."
That sounds wonderful.
Oh my god.
I think that's lovely, Galen. I do miss
It's a
those
good
gills.
idea, right? Oh.
Leon is just looking between the two of them.
Mm-hmm.
So B kind of stands up and kind of grabs Galen's hand a little bit as she kind of hustles a little bit over to the cleric, but not too close to the cleric.
Mm-hmm. Leon is still watching the cleric and B. She's just watching because she wants to witness the cleric follow B and Galen upstairs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, B, are you gonna try to be deceptive about this at all? Or are you just sort of
Who?
B?
Yes.
Okay, can you roll a deception check? Leon, can I get a perception check?
Me too. I mean, I'm still watching them because I stood up to fight, basically, ready.
Alright, give us a perception check. B, what did you roll?
25.
My perception of that is 15, but is the life cleric also going to have to roll a deception check then? Because I'm watching them both. I want to see if the life cleric follows them.
B, roll with disadvantage. So roll again.
Okay.
I got 3 + 4 = 7, so I didn't notice shit.
24.
Wow.
Galen, roll a deception check.
Okay. 17.
What did you roll, Leon?
15.
All right. B sort of pulls Galen up the stairs. The life cleric actually approaches the bar and sort of disappears within a throng of people. However, she does sort of in a roundabout and very sort of discreet way follow B and Galen upstairs. However, Leon, you do not notice this. At this point, it's almost as if Gris has taken it upon herself to distract you and is babbling about mushrooms or something.
Gris is kind of talking to Leon and just going on about the pastries and how good they are, and remembers that weren't you looking for some sort of pastry? Do you like the pastry you're eating? How do you think it tastes? Is it what you wanted?
It's not quite the same as an A-list, but I think that's more of a quality situation.
I sit back down. I sit back down and go like, I wonder if it's salt water.
Salt water? Oh, with the bread and the dough?
I look at Gris and I'm like, would that make sense?
Speaking of water,
good point.
Leon looks at Ari and is like, you need to take a bath. And then Leon looks at Gris and is like, you also need to take a bath. Ari, would you like to go first?
Why are we?
And then in like 10 minutes, Gris will follow you. Because you're all dirty.
I grew up in the woods, Leon. I'm used to being dirty.
And Leon is like looking between them. No. Actually, no.
No, I just...
And she's like...
Listen to me!
Okay.
I interrupt because I go, this is too big, let me talk.
Yes.
I just go, Leon, I was going to, but I almost don't want to, just to spite you.
Meanwhile, as Leon tries to drag her friends into the bathtub, B stops short of the stairs. She gets like halfway up the flight of stairs, and then stops. And the life cleric, who has been trailing a few feet behind her and Galen, stops as well and sort of smiles awkwardly at B and says, "No, Miss Bofkin."
Yes.
She sort of looks at Galen and then looks back at B, looks at Galen again, and seems to realize almost who he is. There's a look of recognition in her face, and she goes, "Do you still need my assistance?"
More than ever, darling.
Galen's face kind of just pales because
Oh no.
there's a life cleric here. They're following B and himself, and he's kind of just like overwhelmed with anxiety, not realizing that like it was as bad as it was for his mom, to the point where B felt like she had to get a life cleric involved. And he kind of just like leans nearest wall.
B kind of sees that and just as she typically does, grabs Galen's hand and just kind of gently squeezes it and just looks over and kind of just nods a little bit and looks back to the cleric and goes, shall I show you where the room is?
The woman casts a glance down the hallway and then shakes her head, and she's like, "No, my dear, I remember from the last time. I hate to bring this up with everything that you're going through, but you do owe me quite a bit of coin."
How much?
Yeah. We'll get to that. I'm so sorry for the wait. Could you still hold out for an IOU for a little longer?
The woman sort of furrows her brow, but her face sort of relaxes again, and she goes, "Yes, but as you know, I charge more for the discretion. I don't quite like the brigade breathing down my neck the way that they are."
Understood. And
So-
she kind of and she kind of looks to Galen and actually kind of is kind of a little embarrassed for the fact that B is very used to actually getting money easily from pockets and stuff, but is very, very much in debt.
Galen clocks like the embarrassment, and he kind of turns to B and just grabs her hands and looks at her and just says, "How much do you need?"
And I kind of just push him away as I try to get Cassandra some help.
The life cleric sort of holds out her hand, presumably for the room key, and says, "How long should I stay with her?"
I'll only need 2 days.
She nods and sort of smiles sadly again and says, "It was a pleasure to see you, Miss Botkin, and you as well." And she sort of like looks at Galen for a moment, and then she says, "You look so much like your mother." And then sort of waits patiently for the key to the room.
B hands the key to the cleric, and she kind of looks over to Galen and kind of goes, "This will buy us enough time to get the things you need, to get the things I need, okay?"
All right.
I don't know how much longer I can do it, though, if we don't do it within these two days.
Okay. All right.
No.
Galen sort of like takes a deep breath and recenters himself. It's like, okay.
Are you going to go back downstairs to the party? You're not quite all the way up the stairs. You're sort of halfway there.
Before B is gonna start walking towards the end, but actually doesn't leave quite yet, and kind of looks to Galen and kind of goes, "Strike is the reason I only have 2 days left."
Excuse me?
I need your friends, and I need you more than ever right now. We need to get I know it's about the boat, but I really do think it's more about Strike right now.
Do you
At
know where
least then
he
I
is?
can feel safe about Cassandra, and it feels safe about me.
Do you know where he is?
Where do you think he is? where he always is.
That motherfucker. It's too easy, isn't he?
I just wish he didn't take the master bedroom from the place.
There's a lot of memories in that room. And then Galen sort of just like walks towards the stairs.
B follows.
Leon, as you are lecturing your friends as to their personal hygiene, you get yet another shock to your personal hygiene values as your two friends return, or your Galen and B return, very obviously unbathed, only moments after they'd left to quote-unquote catch up in the bedroom.
Leon kind of looks between the two of them and was like, that was a little fast. Don't we think?
We dried up quickly.
And then she claps her hands together and she looks at everyone. She's like, I need you, please, I need you all to bathe. We have a nice room. It's a nice bath. I know, I just took one.
I get up
Please.
and I just start walking back upstairs.
Thank
I'm like,
you, Ari.
please don't talk to me right now.
Leon is like, thank you. I appreciate it.
If you keep speaking, I will turn around.
Leon's like, okay.
Gris kind of wriggles her.
And I turn
beard.
back and I look at Galen and I wink. I'm just like, I gotta shut up.
Wait, does Ari pass me when they're walking?
Yes, you and B.
Can
are
I fist
standing
bump
next to-
Ari? I want to fist bump Ari.
Okay, yeah,
Yes.
you can fist bump Ari.
Can I roll a perception check to see if I see that, or do I just see it?
I see Galen going to fist bump. I take a second to be like, are you gonna punch? This is the only I understand punches as that, and then I see it's going no further, and I'm like,
Oh my god, I love
and
that
I keep
so
walking.
much. Oh my god. So do I need to roll perception to clock that or nah? I simply want to roll my eyes.
You can just roll your eyes.
Roll
Just
your
go.
eyes.
You see it.
Okay, great.
You clock it. It happened.
Leon rolls her eyes aggressively.
Meanwhile, back at the
Looks-
table, Gris is just kind of looking down at her dirty feet and just kind of
Mhm.
grunts, and then
and
looks
before
up.
I forget, I go, that includes message, and that's the laugh. Now I'm out of range. I'm back upstairs.
So Leon turns to Gris and is like, I do want to talk to you about something really quickly before you go for a bath. And then Leon looks to Galen and B and is like, I mean, like, do you guys want to form like a line outside of the room and then Gris will meet you up there?
Galen just turns around, starts walking up towards the stairs while taking his shirt off.
Radical. Oh,
Plus
God.
4 inspiration. Keep
I
going.
knew it. Leon rolls her eyes and is like, we're in a public space. Oh my god.
B just kind of shouts, hubba hubba.
Oh my god.
Galen looks back and winks.
Oh my god.
B whistles a little bit and then looks at Leon and kind of goes, oh, is it you next?
Leon is like, you missed your opportunity to see that. That was earlier.
Oh, I forgot. Y'all are just so distracting, if you know what I mean.
Gris chuckles and kind of looks at B and says, "You two remind me of something from my past and someone." And she kind of just blushes and like.
So Leon kind of turns to Gris and kind of gets serious, and she like I feel like she's kind of like giving off the vibe of like this is a serious conversation that Leon's about to have with Gris. And she looks at Gris and she says, so remember the dreams I told you about?
Yes.
Remember how I told you they were escalating?
Gris just nods slowly.
So Leon's like trying to play it cool because she's kind of freaking out about this. She's like, so last night The voice in my dreams taught me a spell. So now I know a new spell. And it's a necromancy spell.
Gris kind of like bone still and is kind of in shock. Jenny, does Gris have any sort of background knowledge about something like this? What kind of...
Okay, the Circle of Dreams very much views it, like necromancy and life magic with the dichotomy of like bad and good. And so especially when it comes to dreams, this seems to you like something inherently nefarious and at least in the context of your upbringing, something that Leon definitely should have ignored.
Yeah. Gris kind of like looks over her shoulder and kind of leans into Leon and says, "You haven't done anything with that spell, have you?"
I mean, I learned it. I can cast it.
Well, don't cast it.
Why not? I know it.
It doesn't matter if you know it. Pretend
I
you
know
don't
another
know
necromancy
it.
skill. It's fine.
No.
This is just. I feel like it's probably just. This is my headspace about it. Okay.
And
I'm a sorceress. My job to learn spells.
And Gris starts kind of like shaking and just like mom hands Leon and says, "No, not when it comes to the Circle of Dreams. Not."
But
when
I
it
already
comes
know
to
the spell,
necromancy
Gris.
And the dead and the Circle of Dreams. Nothing good can come from that spell, Leon. Nothing good.
Gris, I already know a necromancy spell. This
Yes,
isn't
but
my first necromancy spell.
There are different types of necromancy spells, and when it comes to you in the form of a dream, from the Circle of Dreams, from the world of the not quite living, the not quite dead, maybe you should just let it lie. Just
Leon's like hearing Gris, but isn't like willing to take it in necessarily.
Does Gris kind of see that Leon's like kind of poo-pooing her off? Like, is that something she can pick up?
I mean, I'll roll deception if I have to.
You charismatic goon.
Roll deception perception.
Okay. 15.
Mine is 17.
All right.
I have a +6.
Leon is totally telling you the truth. In fact, you're quite relieved that it seems like she's listened to you.
Oh.
Gris kind of reaches out to Leon and touches her arm and just kind of gives it a quick squeeze and just says, "Just trust me on this, okay?" And then just kind of lets it go.
Oh no.
Okay. Leon just kind of nods and is like, "Yeah, okay. You should probably take a bath too." I know I'm really pushing it, but like we're all dirty. That's all I needed to tell you, Gris.
If you want, that can be me coming down too.
Sorry.
Is B still in the room?
Leon did not check. B, were you like just standing behind listening? I feel like you probably followed Galen upstairs to just like verbally harass him as he was shirtless.
Okay.
Speaking of which, upstairs on the landing outside of the door to the suite, you can hear through the door, it sounds like Ari's just finished bathing, and Galen and B are standing outside waiting for their own chances to bathe now that Mama Leon has instructed them to do as much.
It's been a while since I've seen you shirtless like this, Galen.
We'll take it in, because it's pretty great, isn't it? Yeah, it sort of like flexes and does like bodybuilder poses.
Okay, John,
Perhaps shall I join you? And like as she like suggests. And she's like, "Oh, you big tease."
Galen like looks
Speaking of
up and down and just goes like,
Wait, say that again.
Galen looks B like up and down and then just goes like, yeah.
And B actually, as much as like she's playing it off coy, doesn't actually look at Galen too much throughout this exchange. And it's kind of just
Decide if I'm done and I have my stuff. How much of this am I hearing?
Oh, you're hearing all of it. You are being subjected to this through the doorway, and you're just trying to decide whether it's appropriate to leave or to stay there.
Yeah. I'm gonna stay here for another minute, just gonna like, I don't want to open the door right now. I don't know what to do.
All right, B, I'm so sorry.
I'm just standing there with my pack, and I'm just like staring at the door, and I can hear it, and I'm just like, I look at the window, and I'm like, can I leave through the window?
Roll a perception check.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Gasp.
Jenny.
15 plus 4, 19.
You pass
What
to
have
the
I
window.
noticed?
There's no way to get down, but you notice that the window leads to a rooftop with a view of the harbor, which is quite nice.
Okay.
No, there's no way to get out through that, to like get anywhere other than just outside of the window from that window.
Oh, I still take a look at it and I evaluate my options. Hearing them have this conversation, I even take a step and I'm like, and then I head back.
Oh, so you're back at the door trying to decide when is the appropriate moment to open it.
Yeah. I take a deep breath and ready to zoom, basically.
Okay, before you zoom, we should have them having a conversation when you exit. So just when Ari feels it's right to zoom, just say zoom and the door will slam open.
I have cool. I have one thing to say to them and that's it.
B kind of gets a little closer to Galen and kind of like trails like a little, like her fingers up his arm a little bit and kind of goes, you know, it has been a while since it's just been you and me since you came back.
Yeah, you're right. How about we spend some more time together? After we can go on the rooftop.
And at that, I open the door and I just stare at them and I just go, your water's gonna get cold. And I walk away. And I walk down the stairs. Zoom indeed. I have 35 feet of movement and I'm gonna bound the stairs like a kid on Christmas morning.
They shoot out of the door like out of a rifle, an analogy you unfortunately don't have in this world, but nonetheless they zoom by you at top speed, leaving the door to the suite hanging open behind them.
Galen sort of just like looks at B and chuckles and goes, do you think they heard that?
Did you want them to hear?
You know, I kind of like the thought of that. And then Galen like takes B's hand and pulls her into the room with him.
Jesus. All right, downstairs. Ari, do you head back to the table and Gris, have you now started to head in the direction of the bath, or are you still sitting with Leon?
I think Gris is still sitting, trying to like hang on to the moment before her bath and kind of enjoying being a little filthy.
Well, however long that takes, I'm heading back, and I just sit down very quietly, and if there's another pastry, I grab another one.
Can Leon clock how uncomfortable Ari is? Like, is it obvious?
Ari is obvious.
Yeah.
Leon looks
not
at
uncomfortable,
Ari.
just confused.
Leon looks at the confusion on Ari's face and is like, "What? You took a bath? What happened? What could you possibly?"
I think we're gonna have to wait a while.
Oh, Leon's like, God.
Gris is like, I should have taken mine before they got in there.
Leon looks at Gris and is like, do you think you could go up there and make your presence known?
Oh, I don't think
like just go and like
idea.
come at the door or something. La, da, da, da. Like just be Gris and just like let them know that you're there.
Throw Gris to the wolves, Leon.
Leon looks at Gris and is like, do you really hate the idea of doing that? Of interrupting them?
Gris kind of smirks and she's like, oh, I just love interrupting some lovebirds.
I thought so. That's what I thought. Knew it, could clock it.
But do you really want him in any worse of a mood?
Gris kind of thinks for a second and is like, it might do him good to have a little something.
Or it might do him good to learn that other people exist.
I mean, you did send them up there to take a bath.
Not together, Gris.
They said to
By no
Let's go with
means
that.
did I say, go and take a bath together.
Took his shirt off, and she said, hubba hubba, and whistled.
Control them.
Yeah, well, nobody can. Have you been in a relationship before, Leon? You can't control that.
Oh no.
Leon's like, you do have to bathe though, Gris. Listen, I adore you.
But does it have to be now? We could just get some more pastries, take a little break.
I mean,
maybe
like
go
a
for
couple
walk.
minutes, maybe? We're not leaving. Imagine if we ran into Strike. What if he's just like traipsing around? We don't know who the man is. Oh, we befriend the big evil guy that we don't know is evil. And then they're like, oh my god, no. Leon's like jumping to conclusions.
Just ignoring Leon, I just turn to Gris and go, not only will the water probably get cold, but the pastries might too. So you should hurry.
Gris kind
Leon
of grunts.
points to Ari like, good point.
She kind of grunts and then realizes like, we definitely don't want an owl coming after us. It's probably best to get them out here since they know what he looks like.
Yeah,
And she just
I just mutter, yeah, because the owls are the thieves in this equation.
Leon just puts her head in her hands like, good lord.
So,
Gris-
meanwhile, upstairs, I do believe this might have been a guise. Was this a guise or not? Should I cut back to downstairs?
Oh my god.
B, live your dreams. Back downstairs. Gris is making an important decision.
Gris kind of like sits up with like a flourish, like in the most aggressive way a 3 foot tall person can stand up, and like pushes back the bench or the chair or whatever, and lets out a sigh and says, "This will be interesting," and starts heading towards the stairs, kind of marching her way up with a purpose and a little bit of like attitude in her step, like ready to kind of like whip these children into
Yes.
shape.
Leon is like gently clapping like, you've got this. Yes, this is it.
Oh no.
Absolutely crush it. Leon kind of looks to Ari and is like,
I'm just
So-
back to eating some pastries, whatever's left.
what we talked about last night about this whole situation being weird.
Well, I've never known you to be at
Was-
a loss for words.
Them not like, was them being so cryptic? Like, okay, listen, I know you clocked it. They're being like very cryptic. And I know that you saw that life cleric. I don't know where the life cleric went, but I know you saw them. And is it coincidence that B stood up at the exact same time?
Probably
I don't
not,
know.
but Leon, it's like Galen said. They're from here. And they're...
Hmm.
And I, like, whispered, like, I don't want to get them in trouble. I'm like, they're criminals. I presume they have dealings in the city that we don't know or necessarily need to be concerned with.
Leon looks at Ari and is like, have you ever met a life cleric who was into those kind of nefarious things? Listen, if it were some person that wasn't
I've not
literally
generally met
anyone
many
but a life cleric,
clerics.
of the ones you have met, Leon is like trying to get Ari to answer.
They were the funeral people, weren't they?
Those are death clerics. Just
Oh,
for
okay.
clarification for
Yeah.
the watchers. Ari, you're welcome to be confused about this, but your religion score is relatively high.
No, I thought they were the same.
You're all good. Don't worry about it.
Mm.
Cool. No, then I just go. Then I presume it's an equal opportunity career.
I don't know about that, Ari. I'm not a very religious woman, but life clerics, their job is to help people. That's literally their job. That's like literally their job.
Well, then why
So-
do you think they're here?
I don't know. That's my thing.
If their job is
All
to help
I know-
people, have you considered that they're here to help someone?
Meanwhile, Gris
Definitely.
has traipsed herself up the stairs to the landing and is now staring down the door to the suite.
Chris kind of like wrings her hands a little and stares at the door and just kind of listens for a second. Does she hear anything? Is there conversation? Is there something else coming? Is there bath noises? Where are
Oh.
you in this process?
Bath noises. Stop.
I don't have an answer for this. B, are there bath noises?
Do I hear Gris coming upstairs?
Of course not. You're in the heat of the moment.
No.
Also, Gris
No?
is very tiny. I don't know that
Okay.
most would hear her.
I also don't know.
It's okay. It's okay. I can do what I
There are
need to do. about
splashing
that.
bath noises, and you think
Oh
you
my
hear
God.
a woman's
Liz-
giggle.
Chris kind of like, and then as loudly as she can, she says, "Galen, do you have a minute?"
Yeah. Hold on. I'm busy at the moment,
Galen,
but I'll be there in a second.
I'm supposed to take a bath.
Galen like flashes a look at me and says,
V actually,
Oh.
hearing, if it would have been anybody else, I don't think V would have cared, but hearing Gris in particular, starts immediately getting out of the bath. and it's like putting on clothes.
Galen follows suit.
And says, Gris, lovely seeing you here.
Chris is like kind of like pale white with like a slight bit of a twinkle in her eyes. Like she's like, oh no, but also like, oh no. And she's like, I didn't really want to interrupt, but Leon seems to be in a bit of a hurry, and I'm so sorry. I just nothing happened. I hope you had a good bath.
B, as she I'm assuming she's putting on these clothes quite aggressively and puts them all on. It actually goes, no, Gris, I actually need to talk to you about something. Please don't go.
And she's like, oh, and she kind of like he goes to like maybe open the door. Like you need to talk to someone. And then she kind of thinks twice, so she maybe like jiggles the handle and then is like, okay, I'm here when you're ready.
And B is rushing towards the door, actually, with no regard to Galen, whether Galen is fully dressed.
So, like, Galen's like half dressed, right? He's got his bottoms on,
Okay.
but he's like he walks over to the window and like looks out it as he's putting his shirt on, just like kind of ignoring what's happening
No.
here because he's a little embarrassed, but at the same time he's just like.
Oh my god.
Oh,
B kind of creaks the door open and goes, Gris, come in.
Are you sure? We can talk out here.
It's
No,
fine,
no, you-
Chris.
You need to take a bath, don't you?
And Chris kind of like, and then just kind of walks in and like kind of like side eyes Galen just to make sure he's dressed, and then like looks at me like waiting. Like,
oh my god.
And so B is still like drenched wet, actually.
Yeah.
Oh.
And now her
But
clothes are wet.
Yeah.
but she kind of closes the door behind Gris and kind of is like, Gris, thank God. I would like you to know more about the situation since I feel like Galen trusts you. As she's drying her hair and kind of squeezing her little coon tails.
Gris kind of looks from B to Galen and is like, the situation with your mom or the situation with the owls and the squirrels?
Oh my god.
Galen like looks over his shoulder and is just like my mother, Chris.
Gris kind of nods.
His mother. Galen, you're okay with me sharing all of this, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sure you know, but Caleb's. Chris, I wouldn't say this to anyone. I'm quite scared of us going to deal with Caleb. I'm not saying it's not what we should do. I'm just saying I'm quite scared. Since Galen's been gone, he's always ran everything with not exactly his intelligence, but definitely his charisma, and people
Dead.
liked following him.
No.
But after he left, there wasn't really much to keep me here as well as other things, so I don't really have the boat. And B is like kind of saying all of this in a weird kind of like speedy way, almost in a sense that she doesn't really trust a lot of people, but for some reason she just really
She's
trusts
just kind of
Grit.
like word.
Yeah, she's word vomiting.
Grit just kind of keeps nodding and like is still unsure about where this is going, but is listening eagerly.
Caleb kind of terrifies me, and I've already told you this. However, he's kind of, and like she kind of catches herself before she cusses, and she says, "Not a nice guy."
Gris kind of grunts and is like, "Sounds like a real dick."
And B goes, "A dick." And then she looks back to Galen and goes, "He is a dick."
Me? Or
Oh, Caleb. I mean, yes, don't make me think about dicks right now, Galen.
Oh my god.
we already had that moment. It's fine. But yes, Caleb is a dick.
Anyways. I want you to know that before you guys came, I was going under a lot of hiding. It wasn't necessarily the easiest thing to do when you're this beautiful and this pink.
Gris nods knowing.
Oh yeah.
So when Caleb took over, it wasn't long till he found me, and it wasn't long for him to feel insecure, especially about just everything, especially because he knew he could never have this. He could never afford it. That's the easiest way I could say it.
Oh my god.
So, and she kind of looks to Galen a little bit, and she really doesn't know how to continue to talk so much about Caleb. She really doesn't even like saying his name.
Galen sees this and it's just like, hey, you finish what you're doing with your hair and everything. I know he's not the easiest to talk about. So Galen's sort of like not like looking at Gris, because it'd be weird if he was like making eye contact with Gris while she's in the bath. It's just kind of like
yet.
Oh,
She's just standing there.
I figured time had been moving, but like Galen like turns to Gris and he crouches down and is like, hey, like Caleb's really, really dangerous. Like there's a reason why I had him around as kind of like my buddy. And he did all the things that I either didn't want to or felt like believe it or not, I sort of have a moral compass still. So Caleb would just handle all of that for me. But anyway, so it sounds like he's sort of forced his way into running things around here, and knowing that it's gonna be a lot of work, and it's gonna be pretty dangerous and scary to try and get what it is that we need. But it's obvious that B trusts you. You know that I trust you at this point, but we just need to figure it out and come together. But we're both scared.
Chris kind of like picks herself up at this moment and like, finally has pieced things together in a very slow but steady Gris way. She kind of like pats Galen on the arm and says, "Of course you have a moral compass, honey." And she kind of turns to B and reaches out for B's hands and kind of like looks her in the eye and is like, "Whatever he's done, he will not do again." And she kind of like rolls up her sleeves and she's like, "All right, so what's the plan?" And she's completely forgotten about the bath and she's ready to fight this man.
No.
B finds a lot of comfort in that moment with Gris, and kind of excitingly also holds Gris's hands. But before she really kind of lets that moment overwhelm her, she kind of like sits down and she onto the bed that's in the room still, and kind of goes in a very serious tone. She's like, "Caleb was never a natural leader, and he knows this. But after he took over, after someone left, there were a lot of people talking about Torrent and a lot of what it used to be. And honestly, Caleb, or Strike, or whatever he wants to be called, kind of just started threatening everyone and demanding everyone to prove their loyalty. Sadly, as you know, with the circumstances, 6 months ago was also when other events happened with Cassandra. And so around that time, before I even found Cassandra, he told me to prove myself, and if not, to face the punishment, which so I do have a plan, but I do believe your friends are going to be the ones who can help the most, especially if we work together.
Gris kind of nods and looks to Galen and says, "Is there anybody else? Is there anybody else we need to help us? This sounds like quite the undertaking."
I believe we can do it. However, it's been some time since Galen's been around, and it's particularly been some time since Strike found me. So, I don't want to be the one to tell you this, but I only have about, 2 days, because Strike told me to, either deliver Cassandra to him, or, we'll see. So... B is super uncomfortable saying all of this because it's been a long time.
The hand signals here, and it's just like all of a sudden like realizing this is more than she expected, and like this is a lot deeper, and just kind of like looks down for a second, and she tends to kind of pick at her nails a little bit, and is just like, what does he want with Cassandra?
He wants Galen. That's all he really wants. And honestly, any ties he left behind, me, Cassandra, the gang, it's what he wants.
He just wants you gone.
And B kind of nods.
Meanwhile, downstairs, Ari is shoving pastries into their face, trying desperately to presumably avoid this awkward interaction with Leon following a very awkward interaction with B and Galen.
Mhm.
So Leon just
But
kind
yeah.
of continues what she was saying and is like, listen, I'm not jumping to any conclusions. We all know I do that. But it just seemed like a little bit too much of a coincidence to me. Also, they were up there for like literally 6 seconds flat, Ari.
Fair. I presumed it was that they just didn't want to talk with you around. I'm sorry.
I mean, yes. And that's their MO, I'm learning.
That's their
But-
right. You're learning.
Oh, absolutely. I'm just worried that I'm worried that they're hiding things about where we're going today. That's my concern right now. Whatever Galen's got going on, it's what Galen's got going on. But if it's going to affect us and what we are going to be doing, I'm just worried. I'm worried that they're omitting important information from us that's going to hinder our ability to do our job.
I can't believe I actually think this. I don't think Galen would withhold information that might keep us from dying.
Okay. It's not that I think he'd do that. I don't know. I just feel very weird.
And whatever else is going on, it seems Gris approved.
That is what it is. Yeah, which is interesting since Gris told me that she would. Yeah. Yeah, it's.
But do you really think
that's just
Gris
where my
let
concern is?
Him or B at this point, whatever their deal is, do anything untowards?
No. I actually really don't think Gris would allow that. I just worry about our. This is a very different place than what I'm used to. I know it's very different from what you're used to.
Well, certainly, but most things are different from what I'm used to, so I just... I think...
a fair point.
Yeah,
Leon kind of chuckles at that, like, yeah.
Like, this is very far for all of us except the two people that will be guiding us, so I think we're pretty set. And anything else, I think they'll tell us when they tell us, as you have made so clear is your right to eventually tell people.
Meanwhile, as Ari explains basic personal boundaries to Leon for the umpteenth time, Gris is now kind of put together the various things that B has said, and is standing next to a bathtub that is growing colder by the second.
Oh.
Gris kind of just nods to B and Galen and gives them a thoughtful look and says, "We'll figure this out. 2 days is not a lot of time, but we'll make sure that everything's okay." And Gris once again kind of like reaches out to B, feeling kind of like this kinship with her, and says, "You can't keep living with this looming over you. So Galen," and she kind of looks to Galen, "and the rest of us will fix it as best we can." And she's like, "I guess I gotta take that bath after all." And just kind of looks at the tub and looks down at her dirty bare feet and just kind of shrugs and says, "All right, you two. Out.
But before B leaves, she kind of goes, "Thank you. I never intended to answer his question of loyalty before Strike's. I never intended to answer Strike's question of loyalty sooner than intended. I definitely pushed it way too much. But I'm glad to have you right now, and you have me right now. Plus, I'd love to see what the look on Caleb's face when I show up with a certain ghost from the past. As I look to Galen, as I'll grab his hand as I kind of walk out.
Before B completely leaves, Gris like reaches into her satchel and kind of pulls out a little like satchel of herbs and like just kind of hands it to B, like not knowing what else to like give her, like wants to give her something, and she's like, "I always carry these herbs for good luck and for like peace of mind, for kind of cleansing thoughts. Hopefully they're familiar to you," and kind of just like closes B's hand around them really quickly.
Oh no! B just because it immediately puts them in her wet pockets as she tries to pry them open. Like they're stuck to her pants. Like, but she's so desperate pushing them in.
Wow.
I'm so dead.
Oh goodness. As they head out the door, Gris is already undressing once again with like no modicum of modesty whatsoever, like ready to get the show on the road.
B and Galen, do you head back towards the party?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, Leon, you're sort of trying to
Hi.
get Ari to give you any sort of leeway here with your nosiness, and they're just not relenting. However, as you sort of look past Ari, who's giving you like a very sort of almost stern, uncharacteristically stern expression, you see B and Galen approaching. Ari, seeing that Leon is looking at someone, you turn around as well.
Lovely.
Leon looks at them approaching and is like, I assume Gris is taking a bath now?
Oh yes. The
Yeah.
water was great. Thank you, Leon.
Fantastic. Leon looks at Galen and is like, you ate half an apple. You should probably eat something. I'm not telling you to, but I'm saying it might be a good idea.
I'm just
half an apple.
I'm just still looking between them and finding anywhere else to look. Just like, well, I can't say you weren't efficient.
Ignoring Ari, Galen walks over to the table and grabs one of the green pastries and eats it.
V acknowledges Ari and kind of winks at Ari and kind of goes, "Oh, I definitely love to be efficient."
Oh my god. Leon kind of like shakes her head and is like, oh my and then she puts her head back up.
I just said. I just sit there trying to understand why.
Leon looks between B and Galen. And have they sat down?
Have they sat down?
Yeah.
Galen has, yeah, because he's in the middle of eating.
Yeah. So Leon's kind of looking between them and she's like, okay, you mentioned a gang. You mentioned this guy named Caleb. Strike. I hate it. It's like, it's just ridiculous. Like, and then she's like, how big is this gang? How many people are there going to be? How many people do we have to get through? Like, if you were to put Caleb on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being Gris, 10 being I don't know.
Stone King?
A literal the Stone King. That's great, Ari. Yes, the Stone King. How horrible is Caleb?
Well, Galen, he's your friend. How horrible is Caleb?
Probably a solid 12.
Leon's like, good.
I just go, well, shit.
Right.
However,
and I just wait. And I just go, I'm accepting this is the reality of our future. So like, then I guess Mr. Caleb's gonna have to pay his dues, isn't he? And I look at B.
And B kind of like swoons a little bit. She puts her hand on her chest and she goes, "Oh!" And she leans. Actually, I'm not too sure where B is sitting, but she definitely kind of sits over next to Ari.
Stop. And it being reciprocated, Ari just blushes and goes like, "Oh no, what have I gotten myself into?" Like I did not expect to get this far.
Leon is like, so is he gonna like attack us on the spot then? Or what is the plan?
B,
what do you two have planned?
B says, Strike was never one to be original. So he's obviously back still where the old gang resides.
Okay.
Particularly, I'm not too afraid of the old gang. However, I'm more in the fact afraid in the sense that we'll definitely not be the ones to be wanting to be seen around that
Okay.
area.
Mhm.
Well, most of us have
Basically-
experience not being seen, and then I look at Leon. I
Like,
just look
I'm
up
gonna
and
be
down.
honest, you two. And Leon looks back at Ari and is like, no, you're right. I'm not good at speaking.
And
I don't really blend in. I don't know. No.
B kind of
I'm not
B
blending.
kind of leans a little closer to the table and says, "At least you got me now, so I'll help you a little bit." And she winks a little bit.
Perfect.
And he kind of goes, "So Torrent and I know the stock room like the back of our hands.
Okay.
This there was lots of memories to be held there, if you know what I mean. However,
Leon rolls her eyes and is like, uh-huh.
It having gone over
And-
their head,
yeah.
I'm just like, whatever that means. I understand. We'll be prepared.
Oh my God. Stop.
Galen just smirked.
And B kind of says, what we need is Strike to be stripped of his resources. There's
Okay.
a room that we once had in the gang alley that's completely soundproof. I
Okay.
believe that would be the best place to get him to, particularly alone.
Mm-hmm. Leon looks to Galen and is like, this was your old gang.
Mm-hmm.
How long did you lead them for?
Galen sort of like looks at his fingers and like counts. It's like,
Leon's watching him do math on his hands, like shaking her head.
B is also shaking her head.
I am watching Galen's fingers also counting along.
I'm so sorry.
more than a few years.
And how long
enough
have you been
for-
on? How long has he been leading it?
2.
And so
Okay.
yes, 2 years.
So what are the odds that they'll just, still like be on your side? Leon's like, maybe we can rally the team, right? She hates this
Well-
though, because gang's not her forte.
The thing is that I liked to rule with my charm, and he like looks up and off and like smiles.
Leon
And
looks
then-
at B while he does that.
Charm.
he
Yeah,
means
that's
his
one word for it.
muscles, obviously.
Right.
Galen rolls
Hubba
his eyes.
hubba.
Oh God.
Galen rolls his eyes. While Caleb liked to be in charge of everyone, and then Galen like cracks his knuckles and like looks at Leon like dead in the eyes.
So he rules with an iron fist.
Exactly.
Yes.
And we don't think that anyone who was allied with you is going to come back to you?
There is no one who was allied with us who is.
Is still around?
That's the better way of putting it.
Let's put it gently.
Let's put it
Let's keep it gently. I'm picking up what you're putting down, B. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so we need to get him alone to get rid of him so that he can't overwhelm us with how many gang members?
The more important thing is that we'll definitely get our resources back, including your boat.
That's great. Love that.
However, I believe that either I believe that Galen can actually lead him through the soundproofed room while I distract Strike. Or actually, sorry, my bad. I think because Galen knows where the room is, the soundproof room,
Right.
he can take you guys to this room.
Right.
While I can distract him with some feminine flair.
Is Chris still bathing?
Okay.
Isn't that dangerous for you,
Chris,
considering you have
I was just
2
gonna
days?
say that.
As our dear bee makes a weird insinuation, Gris sort of walks onto the scene, looking bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, clean, and confused.
Chris kind of walks to the table and is like, "Did y'all start talking and planning without me? What's the plan?"
Not planning.
Getting
I'm just
caught
trying to figure out
getting caught up.
how many people we're going. So what Ari just said is a very good question. Will you with him not be really dangerous for you? Like, you're obviously very allied with Galen. That's
one way of
abundantly
putting it.
clear. Yeah, let's keep it.
The
And you're
easy-
obviously
shall
not able to deliver this Cassandra. So this doesn't
I don't
sound
think
like
Ari,
a good
does Ari know
plan.
that?
I don't think Ari knows.
Well,
that.
she's just Bee's just
Yeah,
talked
Ari
about
doesn't
the
know
name
that.
Cassandra a lot. Not like
Did she? I don't actually remember.
not
I
a
don't know if he
who.
has.
I don't think I have, but
I don't
Maybe
think
not,
B
then it's
mentioned the name
fine.
Cassandra to us.
But B kind of goes, "Oh, I'm sure Strike, like some men here, have missed me quite a bit. You know, men, one-track
Right.
minds. Anyways, I think he's been expecting me for a little bit, so, but I don't think he's expecting you guys. That's where we're gonna get him."
Okay. Further question. So we're not fighting him?
Oh no, we're gonna fight him. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Okay. You kind of made it sound for a second there like you were just gonna like distract him, and then we were somehow gonna get rid of a boat without him noticing, as well as a desk, a mirror, and your lingerie, all while you were just chatting with him. So glad we cleared up that confusion. Okay, yeah, that
I just
is
wanted to be in
stressful.
the room where no gang members could hear us.
That makes sense. I agree. Great idea. Great idea.
So Chris kind of like
Okay.
is catching up and is like, "Wait, so B's gonna be alone with Strike?"
That's what we're concerned about.
I think it's going to be for a brief period of time.
And then
Chris kinda
he
leaves.
kind of
Wait,
picks
I
up
think the
Chris's
important part
discomfort,
isn't if you're going to-
especially.
Oh, let's start with Ari.
Sorry.
Okay, I was just
Yeah,
saying.
sorry.
I think the important part isn't whether you're in the room with him, it's do you have a way out?
Yes.
Chris kind of nods in Ari's direction and kind of looks to B, like expecting her to kind of give us her way out.
B kind of just kind of sees Chris's discomfort and says, and kind of goes like, "I'm not too concerned about being with him as long as I'm not going to be ending up with him alone." And she kind of, her eyes just soften a little bit as she looks around the gang. You guys, not the gang.
Right.
Chris kind of nods
There
and
hasn't
says,
been a sudden appearance of multiple gang members.
and turns to Leon and is like, "You mentioned something about a room, a closet, a storage closet, a room."
Apparently, there is a soundproof room. Galen is going to take us to the soundproof room. B is going to bring Strike to the soundproof room. We are going, well, Ari's going to punch. I'm probably going to do a spell or two, and then hopefully...
I have a question.
Yay, we got a boat.
And my lingerie.
Is it just?
And don't worry. I'm not forgetting.
I'm still going to like, I have a question.
Chris looks to Arya and
Are the boxes, they're flammable. And I look at Leon concerned.
That's a good question.
Oh, Ari, honey. That soundproof room wasn't for storage as much as it was for.
It was for drugs.
I like flustered a little bit, but then I go, the question stands. Then I go to Leon and I'm like, don't burn us alive.
Is there anything that could blow up if I accidentally set it on fire?
Well,
How
Let me-
much fire?
This is the
Let's-
question, B. You're underestimating the amount of fire Leon likes.
Leo, I need you to
It's
reel
a lot.
it back a bit. Okay. No, listen. So this room was used specifically for members and heads like myself and B
Yes.
to use drugs in a safe space, because sometimes around here, if you had a bad trip, it was especially bad. So we soundproofed it so nobody would hear weird yelling or languages that they
Leon's
didn't
like,
know.
I get it.
Right.
Yep,
So
I
it's
understand.
literally just a room with a bed
Great.
in it. That's it.
It was
Awesome.
It was a room that was great, to relieve some stress, punch some people,
Mhm.
throw some shoes at people who you
No.
really don't like, hypothetically.
Yeah, definitely.
Yell at people, hypothetically.
Yeah, all hypothetical. I'm picking up what you're putting down, B. Definitely.
Does
So
that
Leon's like,
mean the
okay.
room was
And
never
she
used?
looks at Ari and is like, so we don't have to worry then? That's fine. That's good. I think we should probably do this then, shouldn't we? And she kind of looks at everyone. It's like, so what's the plan?
I think, and B kind of looks at everyone and kind of goes, I think it's time that we let one more. This is a little bit, actually, before I say this is B's little internal monologue a little bit. She's a little bit more concerned that this may not go out as she wants.
Oh, no.
And she kind of goes, why don't we loosen up one last night? Just to celebrate.
What?
Let's.
And he was like, what?
And B kind of goes over to the bar and she looks over to Ari and goes, oh, wouldn't you drink with me, right? You've got two new friends. And she kind of wiggles
I
a
don't
little
think
bit
you're
to Ari and
supposed to celebrate before you've done it, but okay.
Good point, Ari.
and she also looks over to
Leon looks at Galen and is like,
she
Still just,
also
blinking.
B also
furiously
looks
at
to
me.
Galen and kind of goes, you would drink with me too, baby, right?
Absolutely. And Galen just stands up and walks over towards B.
it's the middle of the day. Why are we drinking? What? I thought we had things to do.
Ari,
what?
are you still
Yeah.
seated, or did you stand up and walk towards B when she enticed
Oh
you?
no, yeah.
Okay.
Gris kind of is very taken aback by this, especially after that combo earlier, and kind of B is at the bar, correct? So I'm guessing B's away from the table.
Yes.
Yeah.
Galen, are you still at the bar? Or at the table, I mean.
I'm on my way to
To
there.
the bar.
To the bar.
As you head to the bar, I think Gris maybe reaches out and grabs your arm or your sleeve or something and just whispers, 2 days? Concerned.
Can Leon
Galen.
hear that? I am sitting at the table with Gris.
Roll a perception check.
Okie dokie.
Hey, Gris, what's your passive deception?
Ba 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 ba. A great question. I don't know how to tell that. Oh wait.
Is there a passive deception?
Yes, there should be.
I just have wisdom, investigation, and insight. Oh wait, do I have additional senses?
I mean, deception's charisma, right? So just what's the number under your charisma?
Yeah, so it's gonna be your
Oh.
charisma modifier.
10.
Leon, what did you roll for perception?
I rolled an 18 plus 1.
You hear
So
Gris go 2 days. However, you don't hear whatever response Galen gives.
Galen just looks back at Gris and says, we'll take it one step at a time. It'll be okay.
Gris just kind of nods and turns back to the table and just kind of stares at them as they head towards the bar.
So Leon and Gris are alone at the table now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Leon looks at Gris and says, "What is 2 days? 2 days what? 2 days what, Gris?"
Gris kind of inhales and just kind of flits her eyes to the bar and to those three grabbing their drinks and to Leon. And she just at this point is like just kind of filled with concern
Mhm.
and just says, I think Caleb's coming after B in 2 days. So maybe this is a last hurrah, just in case. And she's kind of looking at the table, not really looking at Leon, and just kind of processing. And I think she's probably feeling some pain. Like she's kind of, connected with B to some extent, and just doesn't really know how to help in this situation. Right. So she tells Leon because to Gris, Leon is kind of has her shit together a little bit and kind of knows how to handle situations.
Mm-hmm.
So Leon kind of looks at Gris and says, "Did we tell you that?"
And Gris just nods. Yeah, when I went to go take that bath
Okay.
earlier.
Okay. And you're sure that B said 2 days?
I'm sure.
Because I don't know. And Leon kind of looks to the bar, and have they already started drinking?
Meanwhile, at the bar, the bartender sort of looks you up and down, and seems to choose the person he deems to be the most well-versed at ordering from bars. He turns to Ari and he says, "What can I get you?"
And I just go, "Your biggest pint of ale," and I turn to B and I go, what do you want?
Oh, I'll have anything you're having. And like she kind of like leans onto Ari's like shoulder a little bit with her 5-foot stature. I think how tall is Ari?
5'6".
Okay. Yeah.
Taller than I am to live vicarious. 5'6", yeah. Okay, I just go, make that 2. And then I go to Galen, and I actually remember, and I go, wait, what did you tell me to order that other day? Yesterday.
And Galen just like looks at the bartender and says, one tankard of blackstrap, please.
Oh my.
B actually leans over to the bartender and kind of goes, "Actually, I would prefer it if there were 5 tankards of blackstrap, please."
The bartender acquiesces and sort of fills several tankards and slides them towards you.
I turn to B and I just go, "At least it's less trips."
He says, "Pay now or later?"
And I ask for depends on how much.
He sort of counts on his fingers very slowly. It doesn't seem like there's a particularly strong education system in Aquera. And he's like, 3 coppers? And he holds up 4 fingers.
Stop.
Okay, and I go, "Oh, then
I give
now
him a
it's
piece
fine."
of silver before Ari can say anything.
And I start pulling it out, and I go, "Oh, that's fine." And I guess Galen's done that by now, and I'm like, "That's more."
It's fine, Ari.
Just brain
man
gears turning.
Hands you the change and sort of turns his back on you as if signifying that he's done with this conversation.
Fair enough. Wanting to, yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, Bee just takes one of the tankards and swigs it, and she's like, 2 new friends.
Oh my goodness. Oh, I just
Galen
go.
takes his tankard and just like raises it in the air.
Yeah, I'll do the same, but I also start trying to gather the other ones, going like, don't you want to include the others?
Oh, you're definitely right.
And then to impress, I try to start taking how many are left? So that's 1, 2, like a couple, as many as can fit in my arms.
So I presume it's the 2 new friends that Leon sees.
Yes.
As she looks over at the bar. And so she looks at Gris and says, 2 days means we still have time after this. Like, Leon can tell that Gris is concerned. Like, I feel like they've traveled together enough now that there's a difference between, like, normal Gris and, oh no, concerned Gris. And Leon's already become aware of, oh no, concerned Gris earlier this morning. So she's well versed in this, and she looks at Gris and says, listen, even they've already started drinking, so whatever I thought we were going to do today, I don't know if it's the smartest idea for us to do that today. We have time. We still have time. If we do it tomorrow, there's still time. But thank you for telling me, because if she tries to put it off again, I won't say anything, but I will put my foot down about getting it done in my way. And I'll make it about me. Okay?
Oh, no.
Gris kind of nods and maybe reaches over next to her and kind of puts her hand on her staff for a second, and she says, I think I'll start preparing just in case. And she kind of, just is already in her head thinking of healing spells and poultices and things like that, just in case.
Oh, sweetheart.
The rest of the party returns. Ari is carrying 3 tankards all by themselves and an impressive show of...
I'm keeping pace with B to make sure she's seeing.
Oh, strong.
B is definitely seeing and following closely. And like, I don't know if Ari is struggling, but B is kind of like almost implying that she's gonna touch Ari's arms and be like, so strong, so strong.
I love it.
Oh, it's nothing really.
How close are we to the table now?
Yeah.
10 feet.
Okay.
Yeah, 10 feet.
Leon is just kind of watching this all unfold.
B starts bringing her.
Like, they all could have carried 2. Like, Leon's just like really? What? Really?
Galen just, as he's walking, he's just shaking his head, just like, all right.
So do the 3 of you sit down?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I plop them all together. Like, I have to like crouch down and slide them onto the table so none of them fall.
I'm not even gonna make you roll a dexterity check. It was to impress a pretty girl. I think we can all understand that.
Yeah.
Much respect. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. But then I take one and I sit down, yeah.
Alright, so who is drinking this blackstrap?
Leon kind of leans back and crosses her arms and doesn't take any. And she looks at Ari and says, you can have mine.
Oh, okay. And I like pull it, like I reach across the table to Leon and I like go like. In fact, it's probably just slightly too far away, so I lean over and I'm doing the like until I grab it.
Leon like gently pushes it forward to make it easier for Ari to grab it. Like, oh my god.
Gris,
Now I have to.
She
Galen's
pulls the
Gris,
tankard. Oh, she pulls the tankard kind of close to her and like takes like a sniff of it, and then kind of like just lets it sit there for a second as she starts digging around in her pouch, and she's just kind of taking inventory of what she's got available.
Yeah.
Do I see it that she didn't really like it?
Yeah, Gris is just kind of like,
Cool.
I don't know about
Did
this.
I go? Oh, I got before we ordered those. I got the pale ales too. Might be more your speed, like me.
Gris kind of nods and says, I think
And
I like that a little better.
I shimmy it over to her, in between and around my own tankards, plural.
Gris takes the pale ale and kind of pushes away the blackstrap and just takes like a small sip.
Okay.
Leon kind of looks around and is like, so this is really
Galen
today?
takes his
We're not.
Galen takes his tankard, like interrupting Leon, and just like sips from it, and then he
classic.
like leans back on B a little bit and like looks at her and goes like, "It looks like we've got a little party pooper."
Oh, pretty
Yes. Leon's like, correct. Yes.
pretty girl doesn't like fun. I would like to have fun with a pretty girl.
Don't we all?
Consider me just a little confused, my friends. Because we were just talking about strategy, and now you're all like, party time.
You can't have just
so I'm
all
just,
business.
it's just like been a 180. 180. I mean, there's been no business. That's kind of my concern. So it was like we got here. We drank. I didn't drink. Y'all drank. Slept. Slumber party. Leon puts it in air quotes. and then she goes, then we woke up, you all took baths, we talked for approximately 10 minutes about strategy, and now you're like, party time again. Like, I respect it as a noble woman. I get it. But there's a lot going on, right? And Leon's like,
I mean,
looking
what
between the two of them, like,
considering a lot of the go ahead.
Oh, sorry, no. Can B just slam this tankard while Leon's just talking this whole time?
In the amount of time it takes Leon to lecture you on time management, you finish off the entire tankard. Can I get a constitution check, please?
Oh my god.
Yes.
Leon is watching that as she's talking, like, oh my god.
13.
We're doing this tomorrow then.
Okay, B, you are now drunk.
One tankard sent.
Woman's like 5 feet tall.
V kind of goes, could you repeat, like, what you were saying?
Oh no.
Leon looks at B and says, actually, at this point, no. There's no point, actually, at this point.
Lovely.
Well, I just look at Leon and I'm like, not repeating yourself. Well, that's a first, and keep drinking and sipping.
I know, Ari. I only repeat myself when it's necessary.
I wish
Not
that
when
were
it's
true.
pointless.
Oh god.
I just go, what do you expect to do? Sightsee? It's the middle of the day for a plan, presumably, that involves stealth.
Yeah, I just kind of figured we'd be going to do the thing that we were discussing doing. Is that
B
actually that far-fetched?
B kind of leans over to Leon and says, do the thing that we're gonna be doing? And like kind of like twirls their hair a little bit and like
I'm
Leon
sure I've
chuckles
noticed this
and
point. I'm
realizes
just like,
she's sent.
yeah.
Sorry, Ari.
No, I was just saying, I've noticed at this point that even now, just after one, but in a very short time, that B is compromised. And just chuckle and just try and like be like, oh well, I'm not gonna leave my new friend. I'm not gonna leave my new friend behind. So I like start chugging too.
Can I get a constitution check with advantage, please?
Yes. I look at B and I'm like, well, might as well keep pace.
Oh god.
Oh my god.
All right, I've got. You said with advantage?
Yes.
All right, I have 15 plus 2, 17.
You're tipsy.
Leon has now watched Ari chug the tankard and looks at Gris and is like, you may as well. I'm not, but you may as well. Really, at this point.
Looks at the tankard in front of her, and she's like, I am so small. It is so large.
And
I look at
puts her hand on Gris's shoulder and is like, you don't have to drink it all. You don't have to keep this with them.
I look at Gris and I'm like, would you like help?
And Gris is like confused and then kind of just pushes the tankard towards Ariadne, like, are you gonna drink it? Like, I don't understand.
No, help holding it, silly.
Oh, Gris just kind of chuckles and she's like, oh, no, and pulls it back and takes like one more small sip and just kind of laughs.
I still have Leon's. So I'm
like,
happy.
Galen's sort of just been like not sipping from it, but not chugging it, just like kind of just like, oh yeah, this is what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a slow burn for him.
Oh my god.
Sorry. That was out of character. This is just me being.
So, Leon, kind of clocking that B is drunk,
Oh no.
looks at B and is like, so, how'd you two meet?
Oh no.
And B kind of just like blushes a little bit and kind of like puts her hands on her face. And she says, I love it when Galen says it from his lips.
Oh, Galen.
Lips.
And I just
How
look
did
at
you
me and I'm
two
like, where else would he say it from?
Oh my god.
Chris kind of just like reaches over the table and just pats Ariadne's arm. Like, even Gris understood that, like, knew that meant.
I'm so dead.
Okay. So, like, I kind of look over at B and I just say, is there anything you want me to leave out?
I like it better when you tell it in full detail. And she like looks him up and down.
Galen just like sort of bites his lip and just goes like, okay.
Chris
So,
exhales kind of loudly, having already experienced a lot of these two today.
Galen's like kind of flustered because like Leon is like focused on
Yeah, Leon's
Galen.
like,
So
Right.
he's trying.
And I'm just like, you weren't this flustered earlier.
It's different. It's different, Ari. Just
oh
keep
yeah.
drinking, please. Okay.
At this command, I take a sip.
So, B sort of got here when about 6 years ago. And initially, we kind of bumped paths. But we struck up like sort of a fast friendship. You know, at least I'd hope so. We both found each other charming, and it was kind of
I found him
It's-
incredibly hot. Like, how'd I just say?
I can tell B. The hubba hubbas earlier really gave that away, but I'm glad you confirmed it.
and moving on.
And I just go, I'm sorry, I don't see it. And then look at me instead.
Oh gosh.
Okay. Anyway. And Galen sort of like kicks Ari's shin from underneath the table.
Ow!
We sort of built a relationship on mutual respect and kind of like a me and mine first always sort of ideal. And she kind of just fell into the gang life with me just because I happened to be the one in charge. You know, she she got here. She was the guest of a pretty wealthy gentleman who
Oh, her and I discussed that.
okay. So you know about the whole Mistress Hellspawn spat that they had.
Well, I didn't know that.
Hearing this,
Well,
yeah, I'm just like,
I'm sure you've noticed, but B can be quite powerful, and he like glances over.
And B's just taking this all in. She loves the attention. She's just like she's just watching it.
yeah.
She
It's like, oh, so you were in charge?
sure.
Leon's like,
Because
Good
I've
for
taken it
you.
as to mean like runs the house.
yeah.
Yeah.
Leon gets it. And Leon's like, locks eyes with B and is like, good for you. Yeah. Good for you.
Oh, and you wouldn't believe it. Oh, Torrent here is such a sweetheart. Oh, he's
please.
such a sweetheart.
And Leon puts her hands together and like leans to B and is like, tell me all about it.
So
Just puts his head in his hand.
you know what we're doing, and we're going to like to get stuff, your boat or whatever. I don't know why you want that, but anyways, we're getting this desk that Galen gifted me for my blog.
Oh, wow.
Gris literally
That's
just
so
like
thoughtful of you.
loses it. She loses it. She is like hands over her face, like cackling at the side of the table. Just looks at you. Galen gifted it to you, and like looks at Galen and like gives him a wink.
And I just go like gift or gift stolen gift.
I think it might
That's
be the
a-
latter, Ari, but I don't know.
Hey, and I turned to Leon and was like, I guess the intent is what matters.
Exactly. You know, thought that matters, right?
But he just left. Like, I don't know why he just
Oh, B, honey.
and now I don't have even the fucking desk. And I like lean over to Ari and I'm like, you wouldn't do this to me, would you?
No, and I stare straight in the eyes and I'm like, no, I would not. And
And like I kind of
I put my hand on the table. I'm like, I'm not gonna touch this beautiful hot woman, but it's here.
and like V just wraps her arms and kind of leans her weight onto Ari.
Stop. Now I'm just holding this sad drunk tiefling, and hyperventilating, just like, no, I would never. I wouldn't. Why did? And then I go to Galen, I'm like, I mouth like, why did you leave?
Yeah, I was like, that's a really good question, Ari. And obviously, B's
And
pretty distraught
I'm
about it.
patting.
Leon looks
I'm
at
patting
Galen.
B.
Leon looks at Galen and is like, why did you leave?
Wait, are we? Is this what's happening now? Is this it?
What do you mean, Galen?
Are we? Never mind. Okay, I'm not gonna
just
get
continue
another answer
chatting.
out of you, Leon. I already know that you're just gonna keep going, so I'll just. All right, hold on.
I think that you should keep
He
going,
brought up you leaving.
Galen. And like I pushed the tankard a little closer to him.
Oh my god.
Galen sips more, and he kind of just.
Leon kind of says under her breath, like, you wanted me to have fun.
I take a sip of mine and I hold it out to B.
V like holds it and goes, ooh, and then also kind of like unlatches from Ari a little bit and does lean a little bit closer to
Aw.
Leo and goes,
I get a little sad at that.
so pretty and so rich and so and like she's kind of getting emotional about it. She's like, so pretty and you came with him and why'd you leave me, Galen?
And And I go to B and I'm like, so you understand my confusion?
Galen kind of like grabs B's hand gently and sort of just like leans in and goes like, listen, you and I have had this discussion already. Do you not remember yesterday?
I don't think she does, Galen.
Mm.
I think B wants to know why you left.
I'm
B,
sure she'll
can
remember
Can
soon.
you run back to the bar for me quickly, please?
Me?
But I think I'll need some help.
Gris,
My-
can you accompany B to the bar, please?
Chris nods very like passionately
God.
and puts her arm around B, trying to help her, and just kind of like, you know, motions for her to follow and like lean into her.
There's some water too.
Gris waves her hand like, of
Yeah,
course I'm
that's-
getting the water.
That's a really good idea, Gris.
They're not
Yeah,
going to be
yeah.
able to carry it all on their own. Should I go?
Gris kind of looks at Ariadne and says, "It's up to you, honestly." And Gris starts walking towards the bar, fully intending to get some pastries and water for everyone.
And I look between Galen and Leon, and I look at Galen, and I'm like, do you want me to go?
Actually,
To
you
leave
know
you
what?
alone with Leon?
How about you go help them? It sounds like Gris has other plans that would need more hands.
That's fair. Holler if you need me.
Thank
And I
you.
walk
All right.
away.
As Gris is kind of, I think you said that, like, kind of guiding B to the bar.
Yeah.
B kind of holds onto Gris's hand and then goes, "Thank you, mommy."
Oh my god.
Gris just kind of like chokes for a second, and then just like squeezes her hand and says, "Okay, B, come on."
Oh.
If I catch up, I just start like putting hands out like to Spot, being like, you had one.
Gris like looks over her shoulder to Ariadne and like makes eyes at them and is like, "Please help me." She's
Okay, at
taller than me.
that I like tuck myself under and put B's like arm around me, and I'm like, okay, you're standing now.
Gris
we're
kind of
walking
like
again.
motions to like a chair near the bar and is like, "Ariadne, please," and like
Okay.
he's like, "Please help," and she kind of goes up to the bartender and just, you know,
I do. I lift B up onto the bar stool and make sure she's steady.
B kind of goes, "Oh, I'm not drunk. I'm totally not drunk. Watch." And
No.
and
Nothing good starts with those words.
he attempts to do a handstand.
Okay, we're gonna have an acrobatics
Oh
check.
shit.
this gosh dang aggro bitch.
As soon as I see her hands go up and start, I'm like ready to be like, holy shit, I'm gonna have to catch her.
Actually, what?
Yeah, just roll acrobatics. No disadvantage, no advantage, just an acrobatics check.
Oh my god.
I already rolled it.
Mm.
I got a crit one.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Hey Ari, can we get
Yeah.
a dexterity check, please?
Yeah, I was gonna be like, can I roll to be a knight in shining armor? We've got Dex, you said?
Mhm.
We've got 16 plus 4, 20, and that's
Okay, so
that's
B
not
goes to
on
do
that.
a handstand and almost immediately begins to fall forward as if to faceplant. However, Ari, zooming, top speed, monk moves, catches her bridal style and sets her gently down back on the chair.
V kind of looks at Ari and she
I'm
was a
sure
little
you
swooned
weren't.
at this and goes, "I think I'm falling for you."
I would hope not. You'd get hurt. I'm
Gris
just looking
like,
down.
looks over.
I'm
at
looking down. I'm still holding her, and I'm just like, I hope not. You almost got hurt.
Oh my god. Gris like looks over at the two of them and like just smiles and then is annoyed and concerned.
And then I stand back up and I like hold both hands out to be on their bottom.
And Gris once again like kind of like taps on top of the bar, you know, being kind of short, and is like, could we get some water and maybe some bread or a sweet roll or something?
The innkeeper looks at you all, looks at B, and rolls his eyes as if he's seen this kind of shit from her before. He sort of sighs and sort of gathers a bunch of odd pastries onto a plate and slides them towards you along with a pitcher of water, and then he looks between the two of you and almost with a sense of humor says, "It seems like you need to catch up," and slams a couple more ales in front of you, and he's like, "I wouldn't give it to Palspawn."
And Gris, like, seeing the ales goes to like push them away, like we do
and
not.
Immediately his arm goes the opposite way with enough force, not even to or like push them back, just to stop Gris. I'm just like, are you gonna try that? Really?
And Gris just kind of grunts and then says, "In that case, can we go ahead and order like a couple of pieces of like sea bass or something more substantial as well?" And
By all means. And I turn back to him and I try and get his attention again, and I just like, can we get something to soak this up for these two?
Gris is just kind of annoyed by that comment because Gris is like, "I'm here to help you, and you are being difficult."
The man nods and he's like, 10 minutes. Meanwhile, back at the table, Leon is doing her favorite activity, getting gossip out of people.
So Leon kind of looks at Galen and is like, "She's pretty distraught about you leaving, huh?"
I guess she doesn't remember yesterday, which was surprisingly fast, but you know, she
Does
is
she
small.
often forget important conversations?
I mean, she drank.
Or is that a drunk bee thing?
That's a drunk bee thing. She also likes to just like crash and sleep everywhere. I don't know. It's a thing. Anyway, so when I left, B
I'm so sorry.
height of
That was
her
very strange.
patronage.
Hey, can y'all wait for
I get
just
it.
a second? I'm so sorry. Discord like crashed on my computer for a second.
Yeah, no, you're good.
You're good now. Welcome back. Sorry about that.
Okay. Do you remember that photo that
Oh yeah,
Maxilla had?
I'm putting it all together, Galen. It's all ready together. I know what you're talking. You're good.
Okay. So when she was at the height of that, I felt sort of jealous, and
Leon goes, "Oh my
kind of-
god."
No,
It's a very classic
it's
man
not-
move, Galen.
not just that.
Okay.
So B and I, we had sort of like a very connected relationship. You know, we like our the base of it was forged on with us like spending time together on rooftops and like watching the sunrise and sunset, and she knows me for who I am, not the gang leader or the front that I constantly put up, all that. And
Right.
when I would see that she was, you know, off with all these more well off men, it kind of hurt me a bit, and it just didn't. I couldn't tell her that because I was afraid of the reaction I would get, which I know is dumb. But you know, I still, yeah. I still very much love her, and I don't know, like I'm worried about her. but I just don't know like what's gonna happen with me being stupid and just running off because my feelings got hurt. I just hope
Leon
that,
kind of looks at him.
and then Galen just like sort of drinks more.
Yeah, Leon looks at him and says, you ran because you didn't want to talk about something that was bothering you. This is probably going to be a shocking thing. But have you considered talking about the things that bother you?
I've considered it. Yeah.
Have you considered like actually doing it though?
It's
Because it's important to do that, Galen. You can't bottle everything in and then pretend that you holding in your emotions isn't going to hurt the people around you. If you want to have a relationship with someone like B, you need to communicate with B. You can't just bottle things up and say, gonna run, gonna go, haha, peace out. You can't just do that, Galen. You have to talk to the people in your life. Even if it's tough, that's kind of the point. If it's not difficult, then maybe you're doing something wrong.
Yeah, that seems to be the pattern. And Galen sort of like chuckles to himself.
Leon pauses for a moment and looks at Galen and says, "Are you ready to discuss where you disappeared to last night?"
Galen finishes his tankard and slams it back down onto the table.
Constitution check, Galen.
That's not an answer, Galen.
As you roll
I'm not telling you have to. I'm just saying it was noticed.
Well, I was going to, and then
no, go for it.
I heard a voice in my head.
Gotta roll a Constitution check. This is God.
Yeah.
This is God.
Oh no, 6.
Galen!
Oh, that's a Constitution check.
Galen,
isn't it?
Congratulations. You're shit-faced.
Oh.
Oh no.
We're not really sure how it happened. Maybe the bartender.
I don't think I can hear Jenny.
I can.
Uh-oh.
I can.
It's just you, Vic.
I'm gonna peace out real quick.
We're gonna throw up our BRB screen.
See if that fixes
it. Be right back.
We got some technical difficulties.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nasty. All right, we're back. Thank you for your patience there. Galen, you're shit-faced. Leon has just asked you a question.
Mm-hmm.
B, you are currently being
still being supported and balanced.
Ari.
Yeah.
Gris, you went to go help a friend, and your other friend got even drunker in the amount of time you were gone.
Mm-hmm. So Leon, says like, so are you ready to talk about why you literally disappeared all night? And also, okay, if you're gonna get Gris to lie about things, you should probably get Gris to get better at lying.
I don't know why. Whatever. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Galen sort of like straightens himself up and like very like seriously just kind of like puts his hands on the table.
Yeah.
And like looks at Leon and just like dead in the eyes and says, "The day or night, whichever it was, I was drunk then too." We got here.
Okay.
And
we were actually. Yeah, good point.
Yes.
That's
We ran into B. she kind of filled me in on some things that happened, and now I need you to like not, you know, be Leon. I need you to just like
Leon? Okay.
I
Yep.
need you to just hear what I'm saying because being vulnerable is something I don't do often.
Galen? She interrupts him and says, I get it.
Okay. When we got here, I learned that my father is dead and my mom is bedridden and she's upstairs at the end of the hall.
Leon internally, her heart just shattered for Galen. Like, it absolutely just broke into a million pieces. Leon's mother is, like, everything to her. And, like, she's looking for her father. So, like, her heart just broke for him. Are his hands still on the table?
Yeah.
Leon kind of puts her hand towards his. And, like, are both of his hands on the table?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
She kind of puts her hand in between his hands and looks at him and says, I am so sorry, Galen. That is awful. What can I do to help? What do you
Don't-
need? What can I do?
I don't know. I guess B has been acquiring time with a life cleric for her.
And Leon goes, okay, so I was right about that. That makes sense. I was wondering what the life cleric was for.
But where else there's a bigger issue.
Okay.
So you said Gris was a bad liar, so I'm assuming
Yeah,
you heard the 2 days thing, right?
I did. Yes.
Okay.
I'm not going to lie to you, Galen. Yeah, I did.
Okay. So we have a bit of an issue.
Okay.
So Caleb, right?
Mhm.
He's a very dangerous man, and when he wants something, he'll do anything to get it, right? And
Okay.
it's come to my attention that he's been pushing people around in the gang and around the lower decks,
Mhm.
asking them to prove their loyalty to him. And he gave
He just sounds
B.
awful.
He's literally a pile of trash. But he gave B 2 days to prove her loyalty to him. Otherwise,
Okay.
something bad's gonna happen. And
Right.
what he wants me, B,
Mhm.
and my mother, who is Cassandra.
Oh, well, he can't have any of you. And Leona's like, absolutely not. That's not happening. That is simply not happening.
While
No.
this is happening, Ari, Gris, B, have you started to direct yourselves back towards the table?
I was waiting
Yeah.
the 10 minutes for some snacks, but
I'll
I
wait
can...
for ours.
Yeah, have we gotten
Yeah, he's slid some fish across to you. It
Okay.
looks
cool.
adequate. B,
Gris,
it's not necessarily to your standards. Gris, you think it needs more herbs, but whatever.
Is it to drunk bees standards?
I'm fairly sure drunk B would eat a pile of rocks, so yes.
Gris kind of motions to Ariadne to like and says, "Can you help me get her to the table?" And she kind of starts grabbing plates and starts
And
walking over.
I with one arm I like grab what I can to balance, and with the other one I like I guide B down and get back in our walking position, and we can head back.
And once B gets the table and is seated, Gris like plops the plate down in front of her, plops the plate down in front of Galen, and then finally...
I hold my arm out with the balancing plates and just like go like to Gris, like I can't do it all. I need another arm.
Gris like grabs the plates from Ariadne,
Cool.
puts one down in front of their seat, and then passes one to Leon, and then like
And I guide B back into her slumped chair
sits down and says, "Everyone is
and
eating."
sits down next to her.
So just before Leon removes her hand from like where Galen's is, she puts it on his left or right hand, whatever is still on the table, and she looks at him and says, "No, we're not going to let that happen." And then takes her hand away.
Does B clock this?
Yeah, or Ari.
Both of you roll a perception check.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't think this is something they're necessarily hiding. This is more of a how aware are you of your surroundings?
10 plus 4, 14.
6.
Okay, so
B said, "Nah."
Ari, you clocked that entire interaction with the "we're not going to let that happen," whatever. B,
Yeah.
Leon was maybe holding Galen's hand, or also maybe trying to rob him. You're really not sure.
I haven't noticed. I go, what aren't we letting happen? Sitting back down.
Leon looks to Ari and says, "We're not letting anyone get hurt." I simply say no.
Well, yeah, that's generally the goal.
You got it, Ari.
I don't think most of what we've done so far, Leon, has been with the intention to get hurt.
I mean, when Galen went for the stone crown, it's a bit debatable. And when he tried to rob Travis.
B
still
leans
gonna talk
over.
about that.
Ooh.
B leans over and says, "You tried to rob Travis?"
Oh, he did. Travis almost killed him, B.
Galen-
B looks around to the party and says, "Go on."
At this interaction, Gris kind of cackles and then like moves her way back to the bar to grab the water that's still sitting.
Galen looks at B and like kind of like squeezes her hand and is like, I didn't know who he was at the time. I met him again. Very nice. Super sweet. Maxilla's great too.
Mm-hmm.
I guess
Oh,
you know
and
her
then
as
I
well.
remember, and I go,
Leon put
B,
her
hey,
hands
B.
on her heart.
Right, yes. But before that, I go, B, hey, B, when we did meet him again, Galen ran out of the room, and I start chuckling.
Oh my god. Leon puts her hands up and looks at B and is like, "B, it was so good." We all recognized him. We were like, "That's the bartender from when we all first met." And I looked around. Galen, gone. Gone. Out of the room, B. He ran away. Sent him a message, and he was like, "No, I'm not coming back." It was great. It was great. It was just great.
B is just giggling at this whole encounter from like knowing who Travis is, knowing who Galen is.
Oh my god.
And she leans over and she goes, "So it seems like we might have more in common after all, if you know Maxilla and Travis." And she suggests to the whole party.
Oh yeah, and then without thinking before saying things, as always, I go, yeah, Maxilla's the one who gave me... I just go quiet.
Galen like leans over and looking at Ari, and he does like the hand thing to tell a secret, and goes like, Ari has one of your portraits that Maxilla gave them.
And frankly, B's not going to step down from another customer, but B's a little hurt that Maxilla gave that letter away so quickly. There was a lot of time and effort put into that letter.
Oh,
And so,
no.
and she leans.
I just glare daggers at Galen, and I just, at seeing being hurt, I just go, I can give it back.
She leans over to Ari and goes, "Or you could get more." And she like kind of like winks a little bit as she wobbles a little back to her seat.
Stop.
Galen like reaches up and like puts his hand on her back to try to like steady her.
I don't know. Ari's just freaking out and then gets sad and it's like, I don't think I could afford it.
Leon puts her hand on the bridge of her nose.
I think at this
Bea
point,
is
Grista makes her way back with the water, completely
Yeah.
oblivious to the interaction that just happened, and is like just plopping down glasses. And she's like, "Everybody's drinking. I don't care what you have to say." And she sits down, and then she
Thank you,
realizes
Chris.
things
And
are maybe
hearing-
a little strange.
Hearing that before Gris gets the opportunity to clarify, I finish my next drink.
Roll a Constitution check with advantage, please.
Let's go.
Gris is glaring at Ariadne for the record, like absolutely
One-
annoyed with their friend.
Once I finish, it'll be. You didn't say what. 14 plus 2, 16.
You're drunk, but you're not.
Yeah,
that
I was
drunk.
tipsy before. I'm drunk now.
Yeah,
It's good.
Yeah.
Gris just looks at Ariadne and says, "Water, Ari, please. Water."
You
water.
didn't specify.
I know I didn't specify, but I thought it was implied when I just set it down in front of you.
B, go ahead.
I take before
Oh.
before she goes her pitch goes any higher. I take a sip of water.
Perfect.
Damn. Call me out.
I do lean towards Ari a little bit and goes, I could give you a discount. Money's been a little tight. And then as she says that, she kind of snaps a glare at Galen.
Wait, does Galen remember how much he owes B?
Yes.
Can I like sleight of hand like take my entire like coin bag and just like clip it to her belt?
No.
Oh, yeah. Roll sleight of hand check with disadvantage.
Well, Leon really is the only one with money now.
Meanwhile,
Okay.
I
Damn it.
be having leaned forward.
Oh,
Now
no, it's a
drunk,
bad
I
roll.
also lean forward.
5.
Oh shit.
So
You guys are really rolling with your drunkenness. It's good.
Ari leans towards B, and as they do so, Galen tries to clip his purse onto B's person, but just sort of like haphazardly drops it in her lap and like awkwardly touches her hip and is like,
Oh no.
Now it's not anymore. And yeah, that's sort of just like kicks his up.
Do I notice that?
oh yeah,
beyond-
no, this was
Yeah,
the
okay.
least smooth thing anyone's ever done.
How much is also in this bag?
Galen has. Can you tell me that, Ryan? I believe you have-
28 gold, 10 electrum, 4 silver, and 40 copper.
Okay.
Okay.
A lot of money.
Oh my god.
Is there like a candle on the table or anything?
There is an unlit candle.
Okay. I want Leon to just be like sitting there, like just like repeatedly casting prestidigitation and like lighting and snuffing out the candle.
Okay, so Ari,
Just like mindlessly.
Yeah.
so the scene is so far. What's happened is Galen tried to sleight of hand B some money. B now has his entire purse. She's not yet reacted to this. Ari and B are leaning towards each other as B tries to get them to subscribe to her OnlyFans to see.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Leon is playing with the candle. Gris is sitting there trying to figure out what the hell is going on. Alright, I just need to
I
clarify
haven't-
where
yeah.
everyone is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Leon
having
is just observing, playing with fire.
having leaned forward and now this having happened. Their first thought is like, are they trying to pay for me? I don't understand. And I just go like, I just like flabbergasted for a little bit, and I just go like, is that might refuse patronage? And I'm like, I don't have much.
Upon this satchel she quickly realizes a lot of not only what her debt, but also Galen's debt to me has been paid. But so in the process, she kind of looks over to Ari and goes, "You know what? The first one's free. Send me a letter sometime, and I'll make sure to get back to you."
And with that, be like, how close are we?
4 inches? 5 inches?
Okay. Be like, oh, well, I couldn't, now, just completely gone. They're like, oh, I couldn't possibly let you go without payment. And I lean forward the last 4 inches and I give her a butterfly kiss.
Oh! And in response, B kind of does like a little like I don't know what it's called, but like the little like
rub.
Yeah.
little
And I
nose
lean back
rub.
and I'm like,
Yeah.
I certainly hope that's enough.
Yeah.
At this point, Gris kind of like leans in the table and just kind of is like watching everything happen and like turns to Leon, like her head behind her hands, and is like, should they go to bed? Should we do something here?
Do I hear this?
She's kind of whispering it, like,
can I have a perception check from
Leo?
everybody?
Yeah.
If you are drunk, you are rolling with disadvantage.
Okay.
Oh, god damn it.
If
Okay.
you are wasted, you get
That was a nat 20.
minus 2 to your perception check in general, regardless of the outcome.
Perception.
8.
Oh, damn. Oh,
Yeah, I rolled a
well.
nat 20.
Oh, shit. My disadvantage was 23.
Oh shit, okay. Gris,
It was 23 and 24. I'm perceptive as shit.
Gris, what was yours?
13.
Okay, alright, so we're going to start with the people who rolled the lowest. Nobody really notices, out of Galen and B, neither of you really notice Gris sort of clock what's happening here and ask Leon about it. Galen, you are just sitting there thinking about how pretty B is. You're like, oh my god, she's so beautiful. You're reflecting on your life choices and how maybe you made a mistake in leaving. B, you have been flattered by the butterfly kisses. You are thinking about what you're going to write in this letter. You are also like sitting there like, oh my god, Torrent just paid the money he's owed me for 2 years. Pretty stoked about that. Might be willing to forgive some transgressions on people's parts. Gris, you are just still sitting there trying to comprehend what the hell is happening. You haven't really had your bed question answered yet. Leon, you had a nat 20, so we're gonna skip you and go to Pippin.
Okay.
Ari, you have you clocked Gris saying that. Your reaction is yours to determine.
Okay.
Leon, you snuff out the candle and you sort of look around and you realize that for whatever reason, the amount of shenanigans people have gotten up to has really let the time fly. It's actually late afternoon. You're not sure what the hell went on, but it appears that this dynamic has been going on for quite a while. You're not sure if maybe you woke up late or what, but it just feels like time has passed very quickly.
Okay.
So it's
Alright.
like it's nearing the point, like the sun will probably set in the next half an hour.
Okay.
Okay. So it's evening. It's nighttime.
I just turn, having heard that, I just turn and go, not even looking away from B yet, but I'm like, and what exactly is that supposed to mean, Gris?
Gris kind of like looks at Ariadne and says, Ariadne, I feel like you know.
And I turn and I was like, do I really?
And Gris looks at Ariadne and then looks at B and then looks at Galen and then looks back at Ariadne and says, if you don't know, you should know. And also points to the glasses, you should know.
Well, that's a
a message. Gris hears a voice in her head, and Leon says, "It's getting late. You can definitely go to bed if you want. I feel like one of us should stay with the drunks until
Gris,
we get them to bed.
Gris replies back, I don't want to go to bed. I want them to go to bed. They're drunk as shit.
So do I.
They're not drinking water.
Okay, so maybe Leon casts message again and is like, okay, so dream team, you and me, we get the drunks to bed.
Chris just nods, doesn't even reply, just nods like in Leon's direction, and then says, "But how?"
Okay, so question. Has Leon did like the 8 gold cover 2 nights? Or how many nights do I have the suite for?
Leon, you have it for 2 nights.
Okay, so I have it tonight as well.
Yes, so you could have a slumber party again if you wanted to.
So Leon kind of clasps her hands together and looks at Galen, B, and Ari and says, "This has been a lot of fun. But
How would you know you didn't participate?
Tomorrow." Oh, Ari, it was fun for me in my own role. And Leon says, "We've got a lot to do tomorrow. And I think sleeping it off would be good."
Chris nods and kind of gestures to their place and says, "Maybe take a bite, then maybe take a rest."
I turned to Leon and I'm like, as one of your favorite phrases that I thank you for teaching me. Thank you for that insightful comment. I'll take it under advisement.
Can Leon try to persuade Ari? I would like to roll for persuasion.
I look out the window and it's not even nighttime. It's getting nighttime, but it's not there yet. And I'm like, it's not night.
Before you do that, you might want to see what the other people think of this idea.
Okay.
Before you persuade a party member, which can get messy.
Yeah, that's true. Leon looks at B and Galen and is like, I think we all know that we're all just a little... We're feeling it. You guys are feeling it. And that's great. And I'm like really excited that you guys are feeling it. But do you know what else is good? Sleep. And the last thing we want is for, the whole party to not be like up to snuff tomorrow. So let's take the food upstairs. We have the suite. You can eat and then we can sleep.
B hears nothing except for Leon's statement saying, "I'm feeling it. We're all feeling it."
And
being just like completely infatuated and in like a nostalgic kind of feeling, Galen like stands up from the table and he taps B on the shoulder and is just like, "I want to show you something," and then like holds out his hand.
Oh, B grabs it.
And then Galen starts walking towards the stairs, going to the room.
Oh, well, yeah, I'm following.
I'm just staring after them, just like, well.
Galen like leads B into the room,
Wait,
to the window.
Before we leave, oh wait, never mind.
Over to the window, and opens it, and then he looks at B and goes like, "How about we watch the sunsets together on the rooftop?"
B kind of like looks over to Galen and like is really surprised because the last time she had this was 2 years ago. And says, she looks to Galen and says, "I will do it if you promise you'll be there by sunrise."
Getting like a little bit flustered because like, oh my god, like maybe she's like, this is Galen's inner monologue. It's like, oh my god, maybe she like actually is like reciprocating what I'm like feeling. Oh my god, this is great. Holy shit. He looks at her and just goes, "I'm not going anywhere." And then like leads her through the window onto the roof and kind of just like pats the tile. Is that what is on roofs?
Shingles? Roof shingles?
Shingles.
I don't know.
Okay, so while they're being very
Yeah,
cute
just watch them
upstairs,
leave.
you've watched them leave and are sort of left to draw your own conclusions about whatever the hell is happening.
You're like, I guess they were more tired than I thought.
So Leon kind of looks to Ari and is like, I'm tired. Chris, are you tired?
I'm tired, but I'm wondering what's going on with our room right now. And she kind of looks up the stairs. Maybe
I know. I'm also a little concerned about that.
Maybe
I mean, you're welcome to go find out.
maybe you should go find out, Ariadne.
Why would I want to do that?
I don't know. Just eat something, drink something, not alcohol.
I sipped my water for you.
How about we go to bed? Does Ari still have a tankard?
Yeah, bring it with you. Who cares? At this
Ari
point,
does
yeah.
have a tankard, yes.
Ari, if I allow you to bring the tankard into the room,
I'm sorry.
come to the
Allow
room?
me. Allow me.
Grizzly gives Ari a
Say
look
that
like,
again?
just let it happen.
Ari,
Just let it happen.
Leon like flips her hair gently and is like, how often do you bring tankards of mead into bedrooms? Is that a common
I did
occurrence?
at the last place.
Gris like looks
Okay.
at Leon like, don't ask them that question.
Would you like to bring it? You can bring
That's
it.
That's
Can we
not
just
the
go to
point.
bed?
The permission was the point of question here.
I mean, is it that big of a deal why I said what I said?
No, I'm
Leon's
just.
just kind of like, can we just go to bed?
You're
At
more
this
than welcome to go to bed. I just don't like the sheer amount of times you seem to be completely fine with telling me what the fuck to do.
Gris like looks at Leon.
I'm asking.
No, you're not asking because you never ask, Leon.
How
You
am I
tell,
not
and it's
asking,
fine.
Ari?
It's who you are.
Leon
If
looks at Ari and
your
says, "No,
words were
genuinely,
if
how
I
am I not
allow
asking
you.
right now?" I
Your
asked
words
you
were
to
if
go to
I
bed.
allow you. Those aren't words of
Leon's like
request.
upset because she's like, I asked you to go to bed, Ari. I asked you if you were willing to go to bed. You don't get to just say I'm demanding things when I'm not even demanding things.
Gris begins picking up
I'm
plates.
trying to come up with something where we both are okay with something. You don't want to go to bed. I would like us all to be together and to go to bed. So I said, maybe bring your alcohol.
The point wasn't the compromise. I appreciated the compromise.
Doesn't
But
sound
you
like
didn't
it.
ask. The compromise was a considerate thought. Thank you. But did you
Thank
think
you
that
for saying
maybe,
that, Ari.
maybe I don't need your permission? That's the point.
Well, I mean, sure. But it's still an attempt at a compromise. You didn't have to get so mad about it.
Gris just grunts and immediately just is like in the middle of the table, picking up plates, starting to carry them up the stairs, pushes the like tankard of ale towards Ariadne. And she's bringing the food, she's giving Ariadne their ale, and is just like, we're going. I'm not listening to this shit. I am. But Gris is also like, this is their issue. Like, these two need to sort this out. I'm gonna get out of the way.
So, Gris, you sort of manage to get everything upstairs, and you push open the door to the bedroom, and you see that the window is open. And using your keen motherly instincts, you think that maybe there's a conversation you're not supposed to be privy to happening outside.
Gris kind of like clanks her way in and tries to make her presence known, and just sort of walks over to the window, puts the plate out, and kind of like cracks the window a little bit so they can have some privacy, and then starts placing food and stuff everywhere else, and just kind of ignores if she hears anything. She's not hearing it.
Okay, outside on the roof.
So are we sitting on the roof right now? Are we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Bee kind of leans her head on Galen's shoulder a little bit hesitantly, which is kind of interesting in the sense of how touchy she is. But once she does, she kind of leans into it a little bit, and she looks out to this like skyline and kind of goes, "I've missed this," and then pauses, and she kind of goes, "I've missed you."
And Galen kind of like puts his arm behind B and like kind of almost like wraps it around her. And he goes, I've missed it too. And then he says, I've never forgotten about you. You know, the pinks in the sunset have always reminded me of you.
And then she kind of laughs and says, "Yeah, I've always liked pink on you too." And she giggles a little bit. And she's but she says, "How long is this trip gonna be this time, Galen?"
As long as I want it to be. And then he kind of like pulls her in closer a little bit.
And she kind of just says, like, "Then I'll be here." And she doesn't say anything after that.
Galen kind of like looks out at the horizon and is just like, I think I will be too.
And be a little drunk. But also she can't tell. Bee can't tell if she's feeling a little warm from the alcohol or just from the sun or from a nice hand and arm around her right now. But I don't think Bee minds.
Leon, Ari, are you still downstairs arguing?
Yeah. No, I just after all of that, I just go, Truly, you're fine. You can go upstairs. I'll be up there soon.
As long as you're comfortable, we don't know this place. I just kind of feel better when we're all together, as you could tell from yesterday. So as long as you think you're safe, but I just don't want anyone getting hurt.
That's fair. And I appreciate
Also, you're drunk. Ari. So
I'm more perceptive than you. Fine. Here's the thing. I'm gonna finish this, and then I have an errand to run, and then I'll be upstairs. If I'm not back within 5 minutes, you have my permission to come get me, so long as you stop bossing me.
Okay. You know, my only request is you don't just like go running around the city. That's like, please, that'll just like give me way too much of an anxiety attack. And like Leon's like saying that as she stands up, like whatever errand, Lord only knows what sort of errand you have to run. And she's like, you've never been here?
Like, no, I'm so like, it's in the building. You have an ability to leap that rivals my own.
It's like Leon like pauses. She's like halfway to the stairs and looks at Arya and is like, it's a skill I've always had. And continues walking up the stairs.
Cool. Awesome. Then all I do is finish the very last bit and go to the bar because I have a question to ask.
Can I help you?
Yeah, I need to know if there's a post office, a place to send things.
The guy kind of like rubs his head and he's like, you got coin?
Yeah.
Where are you sending things to?
Can you read?
Yes.
Then I just take the letter out of my waistband. It's fine. I wouldn't trust me to know. Be like making fun of my just even myself. Like this is not like noticing that he was like, wow, you really asked that. I'm like, oh no, I'm legitimately just like, I do not expect people to know how to read. It takes me a very long time to know how to do these things.
He sort of takes the envelope from your hand and slowly, carefully reads the address on it, and he clears his throat and he says, I got a brother whose boat heads out that way. I'll make sure it sees its passage. You got copper?
Yeah. And I take it out and I pull out 2 and I go, I don't think before I speak. Have a nice night.
He takes the copper and sort of nods at you gruffly. And he turns and he places the letter in a small box that he has that as you leave you notice is full of similar envelopes.
Cool. And then I head back upstairs.
So
Probably catching up to Leon.
Leon, you enter the room and Gris is there. And Ari follows swiftly behind you, but the other 2 are nowhere to be seen.
Leon does a double take.
I did
she,
tell
like,
you
looks
it
at
was in the
Gris.
building.
And
Gris
she looks at the door. And then she's like, what? Where?
Gris kind of looks up
Are
from
they where he...
where she's sitting. She's sitting on there were 2 beds, so she's sitting on the bed closest to the door, furthest from the window, and she's kind of picking at a plate of fish, and just kind of like has nestled herself into this bed and is just eating, and kind of looks up from the plate when they enter, and she says, "They're having a moment. Don't worry about it. They're just kind of doing their thing. They're here. They're on the rooftop. Just don't listen.
roof?
Don't." And she's like, "Don't listen. Don't cry." And as Leon says that, Gris looks at Leon and says, "Have you ever been young, Leon? Just let them do their thing." And she pats the spot on the bed beside her.
Leon looks at Gris and is like, I need you to understand. I have never needed to go onto a roof to do anything.
Gris just kind of nods and she's like, "Young love takes you," and she's kind of like wistfully like, "Young love takes you places, and sometimes you just need a moment or 2 of solace with the person that you love, just to talk things out and to get through a rough patch." And she's like, "It's fine. They're safe. They're not doing anything. They're here. Just come on, sit down, and let's go the heck to sleep."
Leon shakes her head and sits, and as she like walks towards the other bed, is like, you could literally get a room with comfortable seating for the exact same purpose.
Am I here by now?
Yes, Ari, you're just standing here watching this happen.
Well, at that, I just go, didn't you literally just drag me up here because you wanted us all to be together?
Absolutely. Definitely. It's I'm not judging. Whatever they want to do, they want to do. I'm just saying I would not be traipsing on a roof for any man.
Gris chuckles and says, "Oh, for the right one, you'll do anything."
Okay, outside on the rooftop. Sorry, I got feels about Gris and her husband. Outside on the rooftop, you 2 are watching the sun head towards the horizon.
Like Galen previously said, Drunk B is actually feeling very sleepy.
Oh.
And begins to kind of doze off, still resting on his shoulder.
I'm assuming Galen notices this, right?
Yeah.
So Galen like sort of leans his head down and says, there's a more comfortable bed over there. Do you want me to carry you to bed?
And she kind of just says, "I'm more than comfortable here than I've been in a long time."
Shit, okay. Galen sort of like looks down and like brushes the hair out of her face and goes like, I think we can stay here tonight, right?
She just goes, I like that. And as she kind of dozes off to sleep a little bit more.
Galen sort of just like pretty much like whispers at this point because he doesn't want to talk too loudly. He just goes, I'm sorry, B. I know that's not enough, but I really missed you and I love you.
And Pete just kind of goes in a very, very sleepy and hushed tone because she's almost out. She just whispers, I know.
Aw.
And
All right. Do you have anything left to say to that, Galen?
Galen kind of just like smiles to himself and just like turns his head back towards the sun and just like reflects.
Ponders.
And
Broods, if you will.
with that, we'll be back next week.
Oh my god.
For less steamy of an episode, I would like to apologize. There's a lot more ass kickery planned for next week. But thank you so much for joining us for episode 10. I hope
10.
that you guys enjoyed your time here. I know I enjoyed this episode. Y'all had me
Oh, so good.
losing my damn mind.
We just clapped for Ariadne tonight, bringing the absolute attitude.
Oh my god.
Iconic.
Thank you to everyone who cheered bits, etc.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Enjoy Begasm.
Yeah,
Yes.
enjoy
Come in handy.
Begasm emote. You know, it'll come in handy. I think it was appropriate for this episode. And
Definitely.
we'll see you next Thursday at 6 p.m. MST, 8 p.m. EST. Until then, take care of yourselves,
Yes.
be good to each other, and be sure to join the Discord if you haven't. Also, if you got bingo this episode, be sure to message a mod with your card just so that they can add you to the bingo chat. And we'll see you next week.
Good night, everyone. Thank you so
Good
much.
night. We missed
We're
you
very
guys.
happy to be back.